forward as well, when we do jump into the draft, it's going to be Virtus Pro with that first pick. Are there any standout first picks for Virtus Pro that Liquid need to be wary of and we might be seeing?
Well, I think you definitely want to make sure that the Marcy is not in the pool. Very likely the Enigma too, which then means, okay, maybe you have to deal with the Primal Beast, but I feel like Virtus Pro might be a little hesitant towards this hero. Then again, also similar with the Undying. They just lost with two of their most favorite heroes from first pick. So I feel like they should go with whatever makes them feel comfortable for the start. And to be fair, I could see Virtus Pro leave in the Shadow Fiend just to get their hands on the GPK Lina on the closing pick of the first phase. If Lina gets banned, then I want them to also ban the Shadow Fiend. But that is one of the tools I could see them do to just kind of put GPK back on track, you know, on one of his better heroes, and then go from there.
And Phil, when do you feel that VP are able to play their best Dota?
Well, it's going to be the core combination of Ramses and GPK. Like, GPK, he's always playing, like, I'm not going to say necessarily greedy, but more of like a high damage type of hero and less so like a roamer, right? So the duo syncing and making sure their hero pools kind of like match up is going to be really important. I haven't really enjoyed Ramsey's hero pool so much right now. Like, he's been going a lot to this Luna. I'd like to see like it shifted quite a bit in a different direction, be a little more mobile. It seems like they're going for like a death ball type of style in the last series. I think they should just relax a little bit and go more for just like having a well-rounded lineup and just playing for your strengths and not really just playing for some specific timing.
Well, Marcy and Enigma definitely taken out, like you said, Kezu, but VP are actually ban out the Shadow Fiend themselves and want to go for that Primal Beast.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, you know, too crazy. It depends a little bit on your prep and like how comfortable you are. But if you want to leave, they could have done it, but they still have confidence in their Primal Beast. Probably feel like, yeah, you know, the hero was not the problem. It was good. Maybe we just, you know, screwed up a little later down the draft. And I mean, Team Liquid, it looks like the way that they want to respond to this hero right away every time is you want to create maybe two side lanes that do well against him, and then also to just ruin the hero like after the laning stage.
10 seconds remaining.
Fearless Clock and Disruptor. Really not much more that can be said on it, but do you think the Primal Beast for VP could be because it's a lot more flexible in where they could be putting it? And seeing this retaliation from Liquid, do you think they would then be more inclined to put it towards support?
Potentially. VP has played it in 3 different roles, in mid, off lane, and the post-4 support. So if you're going with the basics of phase 1 drafting, you know, keep a bit of a flex open. You don't have to lock it in anywhere specific. If you look at a support Primal Beast, I feel like the biggest impact has come from the mid lane Primal Beast, which we've seen various mid players utilize in the last, not just this tournament, but in the last month or so, where they can make a lot happen, get that early BKB timer, and you are pretty much unstoppable. But we did see that this Clockwork did fit in pretty nicely against the Beast, so maybe they want to still ponder their options here. Like, do we decide to put it into the off lane, get ourselves a good side lane matchup for ourselves, because laning efficiency has really been key this tournament.
Yeah, I definitely think this Clockwork is more of like a lane counter to the Primal Beast, which gives you like more reason to put this Primal Beast in the mid lane. And GPK has played it one time, and he was 15-5 score at the end, and it looks like that was also against Team Liquid, so he has played this hero against Liquid before, and he popped off with it, so I don't see a reason, especially when you do see this Clockwork. He wants to follow you in the laning stage, just to make sure you can't be trampling around, canceling your spells. Mid lane, you don't have to worry about that so much, so that could be an option. However, I could see it being a support too, as mentioned. It could work really well with the Visage, just being like that melee body that gets in there, so the Visage can get the soul assumption charges and keep throwing that nuke off.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I like the idea of the Visage pick here as well. I mean, they could also move this hero around between mid and off lane. I'm more of a fan of the off lane Visage in terms of how the hero basically works as an aura carrier, a heavy pusher, lots of damage. You can still like decide if you want to go for Aghanim's if you're not. defense, so you can look for pickoffs with the Aghanims, which is also an option. We haven't seen that too often though, but some games they might have gone for the Aghanims route as well for this. And DM has played it twice and he's won both games. Those were against Vici and against Liquid in game 3 of that upper bracket. So I guess they're looking for their strengths from the previous series that they played.
10 seconds remaining.
Any thoughts for you, Kezu, on how we're going to open this second phase?
So I was kind of looking for Liquid what they're aiming for. It has to be a core hero coming up next. I feel like VP's bans are very spot on. You may see Liquid, take a little bit more time on their opening pick because this is not that easy. Like when you open with 2 supports who cannot be a core, really, unless you're playing Clock Core, which I don't see them do here. If the enemy team bans very well, which they did, this pick here is not easy for you to do. I was thinking the Lone Druid could be good because you can go to multiple lanes. You don't have the Shadow Fiend either that you can put in multiple lanes. They've done the same with Pudge, who's also banned out. Because for them, it will be the easiest for them if they can take a core they feel good about, but it also isn't just locked to one specific lane. It looks like, Matu just made some gesture like, what if we pick this? I don't know what they're gonna do. And to be fair, sadly I can't read his lips because currently I'm having a very hard time figuring out like the specific pick that you go for here that just lets you feel very good. I feel like down the line, you want a hero that, again, kind of protects you from the Visage Birds, maybe like a Tidehunter, but it is not the type of hero I think that they can open the next phase with at the moment.
I saw a little bit of the tiny, the tiny Ags in a couple series kind of destroyed the Visage Birds when you do get to that tree volley. Seemed to lane pretty decently against the Primal Beast. It's not like the most amazing hero I can imagine, but it sounds like it could get the job done.
Good, yeah. I mean, we touched upon the topic of Sven a couple of times. Sven is also really good against the Visage, but I do like the idea that they're bringing up the Tiny with that Daedalus build-up, Aghanims on top of that, just smashing his way, not only for heroes, but also the split push potential is quickly diminished, which is also a strength that VP could possibly utilize, but they're going to go for the Pango instead. For Liquid to start things off with, and I've only seen Mickey play Pango in the team so far, but he's also won both games, so there's a lot of 100%ers that we've seen today, and some of them has just fallen flat, so I feel like this is still a pretty decent Pango game by the looks of it.
Yeah, against the Visage Birds, you can break through the cloak pretty easily. Against the Primal Beast, you can, if it is the mid lane, you can disengage with the Swashbuckle. You can trade with your W, and Pulverize does not go through BKB, so once you start that the roll up there, you can't really deal with it, and you can always be canceling the Pulverize in the fights. So it's pretty good pick here. I think I like it a lot.
Yeah, like the Pango, it's a hero that can maybe go to different lanes, though I really feel like offlane Pango is insanely hard to execute. It's just way better mid in most of the games where you play. So I think here for Virtus Pro, if you can just come up with a pick that Pango mid doesn't feel good against, even if they then counterpick you in that lane, you force them to put it off lane, which can be quite uncomfortable. I still kind of like this Lina coming out from GPK. I don't know if the early pressure from Pango Clock will be enough to dissuade it, but I would really like this type of mid hero that makes the Pango's life harder. Something like a potential Ember or Lina, and then you pair it up with the +5 pick from Hakoda, who doesn't have his Disruptor left, which he has actually played in 5 out of his last 6 games. And they're gonna go with the Skyref, which is actually a hero they've played before quite a bit, and that hero is very scary for Pango. Pango hates to be silenced and nuke down fast. Skyref, he has both of those tools.
I'm really keen to see the Skyreth. These guys pulled it out during 2 or 3 for DPC. I'm pretty sure they even pulled it out a few times in the qualifiers, and it's looked really good. Feels like almost an Eastern European staple at this point for you.
Yeah, I think Yamich is the one who plays it quite a bit, so a Tiny coming out as well. So what are they doing, I guess, with their supports? That's the real question, because carry Tiny's kind of dead, right? They're not going to play carry Tiny, so 2 of these have to be supports.
Sky 5.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that, right? Yamish is now going to have to be the Tiny, Sky will have to be 5. Visage, its only role is pretty much in the off lane right now. unless we get to cover some Beppoom later. The Hawk also is the only carry player I know that plays at +1. But then Primal Beast will be going to that mid lane here.
Something that's a bit intriguing for me here is the drafts that Liquid has played around this Pango. And they were two very different types of drafts. They played it with Shaker Darkseer Jakiro TB. And the TB actually looks pretty spicy considering the Pudge is banned. The other game they played it with the Slark. But they're going to go for Lifestealer, so they're going for a very different route. Kind of mixing heroes from here and there and not having like a previous game draft at all. And I kind of like that style from Liquid here, not to be too obvious with what they want to go for.
10 seconds remaining.
Are they the same thoughts
Yeah.
for you, Kazi, now that you see? Oh, or Fear. Fear, you can go.
No, I was just kind of like noticing a meta trend right now, which is a lot of teams are putting like their Skywrath, their Disruptor in the off lane with another ranged hero, and that's kind of scary because, well, to build on a topic, Tiny can go in the safe lane. The Kezu kind of mentioned that a lot of ranged position 1s are being picked, and I've kind of noticed there's a lot of like dual nuking, like position like 3-4 like combos here, and that's pretty scary for the Lifestealer if that does happen. He will not win a lane against Skywrath plus Visage lane if Ramses does end up picking that ranged carry here. So I do understand how Lifestealer can like, it's good versus the Tiny, but to support don't really care too much about that. Good versus the mid primal in a lot of ways. But I don't see this Lifestealer being like a gotcha pick here, and I think they can exploit it on VP.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I would like to add on to the Lifestealer is, like, it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily anything crazy when you play up against like a Visage. Visage lane's okay, then he gets 6, you don't really interact with that hero that much anymore. Something I could see for VP, or at least something I feel like could feel good for them, is to like take potentially Razor. I don't know how much Ramses has played that lately, but when I see these Liquid heroes, I want a hero that matches up with my Visage and Tiny, so like you have this mid-game timing, 15 minutes, and I want them to have a hero that's gonna have a BKB at like an okay timing. Nature's Prophet is a little iffy. I don't think they banned too much for it. Razor Nature's is kind of like what I would like the most. There's a TA, but I also don't think they covered that. Jugger, I could see a Jugger. This is a pretty good Jug game. Against you have Spin against the Disruptor, you're fine against the Clock. You don't care about Pango, you don't care about Nyx. I'll be okay with any of the picks we just mentioned.
Yeah, the Healing Ward, there's a Razor, that's good too. Alright.
Okay.
Definitely straightforward counter pick to the Lifestealer there. It definitely makes it very difficult to play this hero when you are linked.
So if you need like a distance hero here, for if Mickey plays Pango, does Zai go for Darkseer, Beast, or Venom?
5 seconds remaining.
Oh, Darkseer is bad, so never mind. So Beast or
Beast
Venom?
can work. I feel you need something that dissuades this matchup between Nyx and Razor. So like you need a guy that either deals with Razor aggressively by killing him, or someone that, you know, locks him down or builds a Lotus Orb for your Nyx so that he can run in. It is Venom, okay.
On the Venomous
At least
one,
we
of
got
course.
to call both the last picks. That's true.
Alright, yeah. Down that Venno, I guess you're not too much of a fan. Fear for that Lifestealer, didn't think it was a gotcha, and then being countered by the Razor. Does that mean you're going to be seeing VP having better lanes that they might be able to get on top of this and snowball with their lineup?
I would really like to see it if they go ahead and put the Tiny with the Razor in the laning stage, try to toss back, you know, the Venno, get some kills there. But more importantly, give the Lifestealer a lane where he just cannot right-click heroes and just keep getting harassed by the Skywrath plus Visage there. I think that would make the laning stage pretty good for VP here.
And what is the best case scenario, Kezu, for Liquid?
I think for Liquid, best case scenario that they can do is to do well in their lanes, because they kind of have to. Their heroes don't scale that well against VP. I'm a little afraid a lot of the times in these drafts where if one team gets like double, triple BKB, the enemy team can't fight anymore. And I feel like that's the case this game. If Virtus.pro have a good early game, they get to their BKBs in an even game, I'm gonna say that VP will take this first game.
And final thoughts for you, G-Pan, before we do head in?
I want to say Liquid in this one. I'm going to go with Liquid's draft. I feel like if they can just hit their timings and kind of avoid this Visage from getting out of hands, like of course there's a lot of counters from VP's side, but I feel like Liquid can manage and weather the storm in this one.
Yeah, well, whether it's VP or Liquid, we're going to have to see. It is only game one in this best of three. Whoever wins this series is going to be getting that last slot to TI. So let's jump on in. It's Dan on Canaries.
Or whether you're a player, streamer, Twitch viewer, or an average Herald gamer, every single person is at the edge of their seat to find out if Liquid Pro will take the final slot at TI11. One team's hopes will be crushed and the other team will be on Cloud9. Denog, we heard the panel what they had to say about game one, but the Oracle himself, what do you think about this game?
I think VP got this one. I think they might have gotten a little bit too much baited into going to try and counter out that Primal Beast with the Life Stealer, with all of these sorts of things, and I think they've got the burst to be able to deal with him. And I just got to say, how fitting is it? We play out this entire DPC season to get the top 12 teams to automatically qualify for TI. Both of these guys didn't have too much luck during the regional qualifiers, but 13th and 14th placed on DPC points. VP and Liquid play off in one last series for one last spot at TI. I'm so hyped. I can't wait. We would get into it, but there's a pause.
So, we get to brew in the moment a little bit. We get to see the players, giving the good lucks out, the good luck hombre. We see a little bit of issues with some hotkeys as well. It's okay. It's fine. It's just setting us up for a beautiful game one. Of course, this is the rematch as well, isn't it, Daniel? This is the rematch between these two teams. We saw Liquid, they were knocked down to the lower bracket previously.
Sorry, I gotta cut you off. Look at this all chat, man. That's what we gotta be talking about. How's your day? Oh, it's not going too bad. He's like, well, ask me in 3 hours, and then GPK says, well, it's maybe gonna be 2 hours. Let's see if it's gonna be a 2-0 or not. But I really like the way that VP drafted this time around. Where we've seen Liquid look super strong is when they're able to push and be aggressive early on. Just between these two teams in particular, VP, when they win their games, they win it 11.5 minutes slower than Liquid does. Liquid are trying to close it out in the 30 to 35 minute mark. VP, they're happy with 40 to 45. So the fact that they got rid of these heroes like the Shadow Fiend, the Enigma, lots of these very fast pushing ones, Lone Druid was dissuaded away from as well. I think VP are going to be very happy with this, and like as you mentioned, with that Razor pick, there's nowhere else the Lifestealer can go, so they're very happy to have that direct counter there.
Yeah, VP are without a doubt happy with the late game, but we have seen some issues with them being able to actually close out games, and I think the most recent one would be that game one against Secret earlier today. We've seen some other games in particular, the difficulties with them throwing some leads, so you're exactly right. Liquid on it always like to look to end early, but VP, it's still a big question at the moment. Would they be in this position if some of those leads had gone another way?
Yeah, for sure. They're still going to put GPK on the Primal Beast. Like I was saying before, it feels like it has been semi-countered by some of their heroes, right? Early on, you're going to have the Glimpse, you're going to have the Life Stealer, which still does a decent amount of that percentage damage against him. You just get so farmed that it's very effective. GPK trying to put the sheets in just for a little bit of extra gold in the alt chat there. Not going to work out. The other interesting thing is that this is only the second Skywrath Mage pick of the entire tournament. The other team that did it was Infamous against Extreme Gaming. They lost, unfortunately. So to bring out in this last series of the Last Chance qualifiers a hero with 0% win rate, it's a ballsy one, but we'll see if it ends up working out. They're actually going to put the two ranged up top here as well, DM and Hakoda, and maybe just looking to really emphasize that Ramses has a solid start to this game on the Razor with the toss back on Yamich and be able to secure some of that early gold so that the Lifestealer isn't as much of a threat once the lanes start to dissolve and we get into the mid game.
Do we feel like there's either side that, with how the lanes are set up at the moment, are going to be a little bit more favorable to come out on top with a slight advantage here?
It just depends on how this first blood goes in my eyes, right? You're going to have a lot of damage being spammed out onto this top side of the map. Disruptor, not really one of those heroes that likes to go into something like the headdress, so you might be able to spam him out, but Insania, he's got the two sets of tangos to be able to start with, so he just realizes that he needs to constantly be putting pressure on, preventing DM and Hakoda from putting a lot of pressure onto Matumba Man, because, like I was saying before, Ramses needs a good start. If Matu could stay a little bit ahead of the Razor, maybe the tempo is just going to be a bit too much.
Yeah, always concerns with a lifesteal if you do get shoved out into the jungle. Oh, hero that is very self-sufficient, unable to catch up too easily. We see pretty much every lane at the moment, just abilities being spammed out, trying to edge out that little victory here, trying to get the resources low on the other side.
Big thing that I'm looking at is this level 2 at bottom. Yeah, Boxy's doing a really good job, but he's not going to have that freedom to consistently walk on forward, especially with the wave sitting underneath the tower. If he does this once Yamich is level 2, maybe you get that toss back and you're able to get that early kill.
They might go now. Yeah, Zai just hit level 2, but they were just off the mark.
Not quite yet level 2 just yet. There's a creep that's about to die, and it was actually the range creep, so they might have been able to secure that one if they just waited that little bit longer, but both teams, some of the nerves starting to get to them. A couple of first bloods being missed out on. The mid-game, mid-lane rather, Mickey going up against GPK. Yeah, Pango probably one of the better heroes to be able to lane against the Primal Beast. You've got plenty of abilities that allow you to soak up some damage. Once he levels up the Swashbuckle a little bit more, he's going to be able to be not so worried about the trample affecting him. Just be able to create that little bit of a gap. For me, for BP, they're just playing around these BKB timings, right? Then you suddenly don't really care about the kinetic field or the glimpse or the Pango roll. It's really just going to be quite heavily on the back of Boxy to be able to just use something like the cogs, like the hook shot that don't care about the BKB to allow his team to be able to create that little bit of a gap and kite out those BKBs.
And so far, it looks like the lane's going pretty well from either side. Visage struggling at the moment on DM. This is a hero that can have some difficulties. I mean, level 1, very, very strong, but with the other levels in the lane, you can feel a little bit awkward here. So 9 last hits for DM. Incendia's done a very good job to continue to have the creep equilibrium.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Up top, GPK, he's already making the move. This is what we saw Topson do in T1 series. Yeah, and they scan out the movement entirely. He pushed the wave under the tower. They're going to look to position themselves really defensively.
Look at the aggressive Glyph. But Tumberman's in trouble. A Glyph to not help out. GPK, nice attempt. It was a glimpse to try and send him away. But the aggressive one from Virtus Pro, a great maneuver, even though the scan connected from Liquid.
Yeah, they did almost everything right there on Liquid. Maybe just not able to pop that rage quite quickly enough. Didn't see if it was on cooldown or not, but yeah, that's a big win coming through from VP, especially giving it over to DM, like you were mentioning. Didn't have the greatest level in the lane.
Actually top. Yeah, but Tumberman and Senyo hit back instantly. Dakota will get a trade. It's a big kill though for at least Liquid to find, kind of stabilizing that previous death.
Yeah, for sure. But you still get the experience. You're still up to level 3 now on DM. And of course, he's the one that's going to start to put a bit more pressure on. This is probably a much faster draft than that VP used to playing, just because they don't have to contend with defending against Liquids. They can play the game much more on their tempo, I feel.
We feel like a lot of the tempo is going to come out from GPK and then like early on until we get some of the timings out of DM.
Yeah, absolutely. They also mentioned T-Panda during the panel that VP, they're a very stack-heavy lineup, and, well, Razor, one of the better heroes at being able to take those. Stack up the jungle, even the Radiant one. You could take multiple stacks at the same time, accelerate your net worth, and look to pick up that early-ish BKB, because, like you were saying before, GPK, he's the one that's going to be rotating towards the Visage's lane, open up the map by taking some of those towers.
It's going to come down to Liquid and how they can start to set up some of their wards to be able to scout out GPK. Already seen him try and make one move across the map, and closing on that level 6 is going to further enable that. They don't have the greatest wards at the moment. Liquid will need to consider shortly as well, and even Virtus Pro as well, considering GPK has a bottle. So I think this next power rune, the first one of the game, is going to be a really big moment here in Game 1.
Yeah, Liquid already got some of the wards set up for it. The one placed down by Boxy in the bottom lane, securing that one a little bit. Again, it really doesn't matter where DM makes the where GPK makes the rotation to. Top side now, you might.
Going on Ramses. Boxy is going to try and step in. They do a pretty decent job to break the static link. Not a whole lot of damage that Ramses has been able to soak up. It's like they're still trying to enter though. Yamich gets the avalanche, will be okay. Box is going to push Ramses away. Top lane though, DM brings down Matumba Man. Insane is able to keep back, but not getting the core trade onto Visage is really going to continue to hurt the game with the lifesteal.
Oh, and look at this. They're talking about those power runs. He's level 6 on GPK, making the rotation up with his ultimate.
Psycho's doing the plasma to the tree throw from Yamich.
Ramses
might be straight to the tree line. Avalanche going to be able to cover the retreat. Beautifully done from Yamich as Ramses can step out of danger.
They spotted out GPK's movement with this Sentry Ward just preventing the small camp from being blocked. So Matu's not going to chain feed up here. It's very important that just a simple ward could have potentially changed the outcome of this game. The siege creep is up on the top side. DM's about to hit onto level 6. So GPK, he wants to stay up top, but GPK, wisely enough, he's keeping that mid lane shoved in as possible.
So, a little bit of information now for Virtus.pro to play with. Boxy tried to TP to the tier 2 tower to try and get the gold, or I should say mainly the experience from Yamich denying. So the fact that Clockwork will not be able to rotate now might enable GPK once again to think about making a play top.
The question is, what can Mickey do in the meantime? He's actually going to be the one to make the first move. He's got level 7, Rolling Thunder being popped. They want to take out DM.
They'll be able to do just that. Mickey can bounce back off the tree. Insania will be able to keep his own life. Not enough damage coming out from the Soul Assumption, so beautifully done. Mickey, a big kill for them to be able to find top lane. Gives a bit of a full free wave here for Matumba Man.
It does, but it gives GPK a way to be able to shove the lane in mid as well. So he does that. That was the flag bearer creep as well, just going down. So losing out a little bit on that net worth, essentially doing what Mickey just did to him with pushing the wave in. Radiant tier 1 mid, already sitting at half HP. So it's so close. Tiny little changes like that Sentry Ward, if it wasn't up top to scout out GPK's movement, sure, Mickey would have been able to get the same. Would have had to make that walk of shame back, maybe even go back into the jungle, which, as we've been saying, lifestealers really don't want to do.
50-50 goes Mickey's way, gets a regen, nothing too crazy. Will help with the farm. A little bit lucky considering GPK had the ultimate advantage. So there was no battle going on though.
Run out a little bit, you've got the familiars available, Coda.
The Ancient Seal, yeah, might catch him off guard. The damage is not enough. A really nice attempt from Virtus.pro. The Ancient Seal is always going to prove to be an issue here for the lifesteal as the game continues on. His bottom lane. Ramses inside the cogs at the moment. Zaya making sure he plays his distance, not trying to give it an easy static link target. Ramses now forced to try and move over to the Clockwork. A beautiful toss onto the tower. Box is in trouble. They'll be able to secure the kill. Zaya, first ultimate of the game, should bring down Ramses to TP to base. I don't think he's going to stick out. Ramses popped the Fairy Fire. He's got the raindrop as well. Meanwhile, top lane, the action continues as Mickey. Another rotation with the Rolling Thunder. They'll get the kill onto Hakoda.
He's just a little bit short on mana on GPK. You can tell he wants to up the tempo. He wants to create a lot of pressure for this lifestealer. Just some of these movements really haven't been working out, and Liquid are taking advantage of it. Previously, there were multiple lanes going in Virtus.pro's favor. Not so much anymore.
And Matu's second in net worth, considering his 2 early deaths that we saw in the lane, so have to be very happy with Liquid. Insania is very close to level 6 as well, so this could give him a free pick off across the map.
And Matu, he hasn't fully retreated back into, you know, the depths of the jungle. He's looking to make sure that he's thereabouts. If he wants to be able to connect through onto that tier 1 tower to defend it like he had previously, then that really does slow down a lot of where Virtus.pro were able to get that farm, because you have to remember they've got a Tiny that they're playing with. Yamish, he just makes a stack inside of the Radiant jungle, and he wants to make sure that he can sit in a lane that's, you know, perhaps a little bit greedier, but enabled, because Virtus.pro's cores might be able to farm that couple of extra jungle camps that happen as soon as you take down one of these towers. That Blink Dagger timing, incredibly important for a support.
Ramses might be in trouble here with the jungle. They got 3 points of the glimpse. They're not going to get a whole lot of distance, but with all the heroes from Liquid nearby, and they see Virtus.pro still playing up top, so nice pick off for them to find, but at least Virtus.pro will get their first tier 1 tower of the game.
Yeah, and they did that while they were taking that tower. They know that Virtus.pro's main objective is taking that, so they're not going to be in a position to TP back, to be played defensively around Ramses. He was farming in a pretty safe spot, but Liquid just reading the minds of Virtus.pro right now.
They do kind of see how easy it is at the moment for Virtus Pro to be able to take these objectives. They have this advantage in regards to the familiar. Do we feel like Liquid might have that full mid lane, GPK? Not going to get too much distance away. Mickey will actually do a U-turn back to Yarmich. Box is going to look about stepping in as well. This is a very deep attempt now that they haven't been able to capitalize on the early use of that Rolling Thunder, but it is space created. Zai free farming down bot, starting to put some pressure into the tower. 3 points in the Plague Ward, so he's got firm control of bottom. It's going to be very difficult for Virtus Pro to be able to recapture this side of the map.
To their credit, though, they don't really need to. Like I was saying before, that tower going down top really does open up a few more areas of the map. You can see that Liquid, they've essentially sealed off all entrances into the Radiant jungle, so the bottom half of the map is all Liquid's right now. Zai's just going to sit there, he's going to farm a little bit more until he picks up that Wraith Pact. You've almost got the Diffusal Blade on the Pangolier as well. Even the Armlet on Matumba Man is going to come at a pretty similar timing, so in about 3 minutes or so, when it hits into that nighttime, expect Liquid to make their first move.
Yeah, and already Virtus Pro, this is their first move, but the level 6 is a big pick-off if they can find it. But Yarmich is a little bit too far away. A lot of burst potential between the duo supports from Virtus Pro. They're going to be able to block off Insania. The backs up on the higher ground, puts the Disruptor in an awkward position. So at least Virtus Pro will find 1 kill.
They will, but it's not the one that they were wanting. They want to continue to pressure up Matu. He's been able to still, even being 5th or so on the net worth, he's a little bit ahead of Ramses. Alright, well DM, he's continuing to push up on this top side. They want to make sure that they can cause Liquid to make a lot of movements up towards this top side of the map if they need to. Doesn't seem like they're going to take the bait though. Matu makes the TP. He still wants to be the one sitting around here, and Yarmich, he's using this time to be able to be a little bit greedier, take some of that safe, relatively safe farm that they've got, because this doesn't feel kind of like what's happening on the bottom side with Zai, with the Plague Wards. Liquid really don't want to be venturing too far into their jungle. The kill threat for Virtus Pro is way too high.
See what Liquid can do. Smoke is 3. Yarmich has got some great positioning. Smoke's gonna pop and they'll see the Tiny. Not the hero they want to bring down to the start, and in fact Virtus Pro want to take the team fight. They're gonna toss Boxy into the middle, taking a lot of damage at the moment for the Clockwork. They haven't secured the kill just yet, but the Soul Assumption finally enough to bring him down. In the end, a 1-for-1, but Liquid do commit multiple ultimates. But in the end, Mickey will still be able to catch up as well with a maxed out shield crash, enough burst to be able to bring down the duo support from Virtus Pro. And again, look at what's happening across the map. All that thought is top lane, Matu. Rage back up in a couple of seconds. The rest of the team is starting to connect. Again, the ultimates were used by Virtus Pro. They should be okay.
Looks like they'll be able to back off. Yeah, even without that ultimate, Insania, still a few seconds left on the glimpse. They're going to potentially look to keep chasing, but you've got to be careful about going into these choke points. He has the Diffusal available, but look at this by Zai. He's moved away from the bottom lane, went into mid, took the tower. Now suddenly the map is a little bit more open for Liquid to play with.
That's another power rune secured as well for Mickey. Feels like he's gotten every single power rune, and well, they're going to look to use it instantly onto Yakoda. And one big advantage that Radiant are playing with at the moment as a whole, again, look at Liquid, they're not done. Yarmich looks to enter the lane, he's trying to get a little bit of farm to work towards the Blink Dagger. They see Ramses as well. Zai, if required, might have to drop the ultimate, but Mickey, he's got his own Rolling Thunder to be able to catch back up. Near the high ground to bounce back and forth, it's not even required for the second stun as Liquid go from 1 kill to the next. They're building up quite the lead here.
They are indeed. DM still doing his best to continue the pressure up top, wanting to make sure that he's got eyes on the minimap at all times, preventing any of these gank attempts to connect. But look at this, Insania, Boxy, the support duo. They saw, I don't think they saw the courier path, but they're going to see it on the way back. They'll be able to connect through onto DM. They realize he is the one creating the only tempo this game. Any TP's coming up, nice scan, being able to catch out perhaps anyone else that's sticking by.
Oh, no! Alright, look at the static storm down at least. A little bit awkward with a hook shot. But there's no way for DM to make it out, so he'll still end up going down nonetheless, even with a little bit of miscommunication.
A little bit of extra gold for Insane here as well. We've seen how important those disruptors, if they can get it to their Aghanim Scepter, can be. So he's been involved in a fair few kills so far, able to secure that familiar. So looking pretty decent so far for the man. Of course, very important for him to get into the 4-star for this game, though, just to be able to get that extra distance away from the Razor, the Mystic Flare, the Primal Beast. Movement is key for Liquid.
Holy.
Radiant's top tower is under
They're trying to bait out Ramses. Look at the support duo on VP this time. They're like, well, you can make a play on one of our cores, we could try and do the same, but Liquid, they don't take it. They realize that they've been a few too many heroes off the map for too long, so they're just going to sit back, relax, let us play our timing. We've got the Diffusal Blade. Now we can make
They've
our
got the
move.
Infest Bomb. They see Ramses. Ancient Seal is going to buy him some time. Matumperman's going to continue to move on forward. They've got the vision for the glimpse to cancel the TP. And now Ramses, he's going to be caught out. No escape for the Razor. The prize target once again for Liquid, as they're going to continue to slow down the game from Virtus Pro.
Immediately the line's drawn on the map as well, saying, look, I might have died, but they committed a lot to be able to make that happen. Rolling Thunder coming through, Infest Bomb not available anymore. And would you have a look at this? Look how early he bought the Aghanim Shard as well on the Lifestealer. Open wounds already picked up here. He wants to be able to go man mode against these heroes like the Razor, for example, and still actually do something against a lot of that damage that might be static linked off.
I think this is the second time I've seen Matu do this, and I think when we casted their previous series, might have been back in the group stages where he went for the Ag Shard very early on. So interesting to see kind of the development of Lifesteal's item build as I guess the meta goes on. Yamich, they might dive him. Yeah, Zai with the backstab. This is a big thing, man. The fact that Virtus Pro were getting no kills on their duo support, like this is... Both Tiny and Sky really rely on getting these kills. You are high burst magic damage heroes, and if you can't blow the supports up, if you can't get towards the blink, it's really going to hinder VP's game. Yeah, top lane. Boxy gets the hook shot, Mickey with the follow-up as well. Virtus Pro do have multiple members nearby as GPK just assassinates the backline, and DM, he's okay. Protected with the Wraith Pack, the damage mitigation is proving to be an issue for Liquid. Can they finally deal with it? Looks like that's going to be the case, but the Mystic Flare not enabling Virtus Pro to turn it around, so they need to cut their losses as GPK is going to dive out of the area. DM will not have the same capability, however, so in the end, a 2-for-2, Virtus Pro do at least get 2 supports, but it still comes at a cost.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty big win for Liquid as well. Not just necessarily because of that core and support trade, but Yamish, he thought that fight was going to go on a little bit longer, so he commits his TP onto the Tier 1 top. There was, I believe, 2 waves hitting into the Tier 2 bottom at the time, and if he went down there instead, he would have been able to spend that time farming up the remaining parts of his Blink Dagger. He might still be able to with this, but you mentioned before that they've got this kill support duo with Yamish as well as Hakoda. That Blink Dagger is a big part of that.
I think as the game goes on, it's going to really prove to be an issue with this Wraith Pack. We just see how tanky DM is in through that little skirmish there, and I mean, he's even got the hood working on the pipe next item as well, so Liquid may have some difficulties with being able to blow up the Visage, and I think this is probably the big timing key now for BP. They've got double BKB, really the first item now completed on Ramses.
They do indeed. You still got to wait for Yamish though. You're not ready. You might have to give up this tower, and they're saying, well, they're not defending this Tier 1. They certainly have the capabilities to. There has to be a reason. They're not quite ready to fight. Let's just go straight on into Roche, and I actually quite like this play.
Ooh. I'm not sure if they have confirmation prior, but they now know that Ramses has BKB with that Rocket Flare. And they also know exactly where VP are at the moment. Even though they scan, there will be no contest. So a free first Roche going the way of Liquid, 5,000 net worth lead. Are we going to continue to see them play active across the map? They've got 16 kills, but can they get objectives with this Aegis?
I think it's important for them to play active, but they got to play active onto the right heroes, right? You mentioned before that BKB on Ramses makes him a lot more tanky for a lot of these engagements happening, particularly coming through from Zai as well as Mickey. So if he's able to back away from that and cause them to go on perhaps the Primal Beast instead, then that's really going to enable some of that damage to come out from BP.
So we already see the Observe Ward from Liquid being able to scout out Hakoda. Trying to leave down the bottom side of the map. They might have seen him also place the ward as well if they were checking the inventory. We'll see if Liquid look to deward that afterwards, but That kill should give them firm control of this bottom side of the map, so the T2 tower will soon be under siege, and even mid is getting shoved out as well, so Liquid have a lot of room to make plays now.
Yeah, while Liquid weren't showing on the map, VP were doing the best that they could to try and get the most that they could out of the map with their farm, but they didn't lose any towers. Even the tier 1 mid still standing, tier 1 on the bottom side of the map, and Matu, he's closing on his Desolator. So that was probably an area of weakness for them, but it's TP.
Again, Virtus Pro were going to try and smoke to get up here, but I don't think DM's going to be healthy enough to survive this long. Trying to get the tower, but the familiars will go down, so Virtus Pro, they need to get something out of this smoke. They will see Insania and Zai shortly.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
He's also not easy to blow up. He's got the Wraith Pact if he can chuck it. Oh, the toss, no, out of the Mystic Flare. With the use of the Ancient Seal, Static Storm is going to be able to cover the retreat, but Ramsey's on the wraparound. They'll be able to kill off the Venomancer. The Virtus Pro, they need to get out. The use of the Poison Oval will not enable them to stick around, as Boxy is actually been able to catch out Ramses. And BKB won't protect him as the Cog's not enabling him to run up the high gun, so he's going to have to go to the left instead. But a completely wasted BKB, and he'll still end up losing his life.
That's the great thing about the open wounds, right? I was mentioning before how it's good to allow you to just stand and man fight against these Razor, Primal Beast, even the Tiny eventually with his great stat gain, but just the slow component. It means that you need to be so much more conscientious of when you're looking to pop that BKB. Oh, and the massive Pidus on Ramses as well. He's going to be kicking himself there.
Just some slight errors that we usually don't see from this Virtus Pro team. Like that last fight in particular, the toss out of the Mystic Flare. This support duo in particular, Hakoda and Yarmich, have always been good. The synergy between them, but something needs to click shortly. This game's starting to get out of hand, and maybe this could be the smoke.
And that was their big timing, right? They wanted to have that Blink Dagger with the Mystic Flare combination together as well from the Tiny, and they just didn't accomplish it. Amish moving forward under the cover of smoke.
They've got the Infest. They're going to have a lot of bonus health. Matumbaman's going to pop out. A 1-for-1 to start, but they're in trouble now, Virtus Pro. The Delta split comes through, but DM's going to be glimpsed back into the middle. Matumbaman won't have a stun to be able to cancel the Visage TP, so DM will be able to escape. Meanwhile, back up to the left side, Mickey, a solo use of the Rolling Thunder has been able to isolate Yarmich on the Tiny. So Liquid in the end will be able to find two, but they've also caught out GPK. It's got a BKB to work with if required. They're going to drag it back into the Static Storm. There's not much GPK can do to play this one aggressively. It's going to try and trample away, but the Bashers are there, making sure there will be no opportunity as Matumbaman can close the distance and get the right clicks going.
It's just those little bit of things of coordination, right? He pops the BKB and runs away from Ramses that are a bit forward with the static link. He wanted to be able to help out his teammate, but you can't do that if you're just going to instantly cause the link to break. Look at that range on the open woods. It's kind of nutty.
For VP, I think it needs to be a toss into Ancient Seal if they're really going to start the fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're somewhat rattled. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
just claimed.
Dire aren't all here at the moment. Boxy's still going to look to hookshot under the T2 tower. They've been able to kite the Mystic Flare as well, which is a lot of the initial damage from Virtus Pro. The Infest is going to be enough to secure the kill, and also doesn't put Matumbaman in a compromised position. Meanwhile, though, Zai is under the ward and the creeps as well. Instant use of the Wraith Pact. He's been able to break the static link, and now with the Rolling Thunder... Okay, actually, not used from Mickey. Charge it up. Threatening from Virtus Pro.
Yeah, he wants to. He wants to create space to the left-hand side of this tier 2 tower, so that's going to go down. Zai did a
might
great
go
job.
down here. They got Swashbuckle back up. Is Mickey going to go for it? Oh, so close. I think some of the last little ticks weren't there with a Swashbuckle.
Agonizingly close, man. This is looking real good for Liquid so far. I mean, the amount of times that they made that attempt up top with the tier 2 tower, it felt like DM was up there 5 separate times just trying to take that, and Liquid just had their minds on the amount of time that it would take for them to achieve an objective, get a gank, and go back and prevent VP from opening up the map. Even with that tier 2 tower taken, they haven't left their side of the map, so they haven't actually achieved anything. They haven't gotten the rewards for that tower that they committed so much for.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's
It's going to be really scary here for Virtus Pro. Look at the ward they've got at the triangle as well. Maybe this could help out though. Scepter now completed from GPK. Do we feel like there's another item that VP need to maybe turn the tides?
Well, I mean, 4 staffs are pretty at a premium for the supports as well, but just with how the game's been going, without being able to secure a lot of those kills early on, it means that it's still going to be quite some time until, well, Yamich, he's a fair way away, but Hakoda's nearly picked his one up, so maybe if they could go for a smoke, get a pick off before the 4 stars are needed, and then when Liquid try and go for the counter gank, that's when it can really start to have its impact.
Boxy might be right. Okay. So he might be right on the money if he kept going towards the lane. Almost was able to cut off. Instead, he's going to hook shot into the middle. But Tumberman's still got a double damage route to play with. 2 hits to swipe away the life of Yakoda. And our GPK, he's the next on the agenda as well. It might have to be another defensive BKB to get him out. It's like at least the Scepter will be the deterrent here from Liquid. They're going to back up, but their prize will be the T2 tower.
Yeah, you just cannot fight into that DD. Yeah, they see him slowly walk on past. They know that the Primal Beast isn't quite there, so they could go for an aggressive gank attempt and then just have the freedom to back off. Yep, BKB is the objective that they wanted to get out of that, and now they can look to make another move in a few seconds. Just 3 seconds left on that hookshot cooldown. They're just going to check for a power rune. It's an arcane rune. Mickey, he has been on point with being able to secure these with his team. Might even be able to have the luxury of securing tier 3 items, go back with that little bit of an advantage because VP are holed up in their base. They're not going to be able to get that extra little bit of a power spike.
The Clockwork has been a support that has been rising in popularity over the last chance qualifiers. We see it as a big hero for Virtus Pro in particular, and well, this game, Boxy is looking to show that he is incredibly strong the hero as well. We've already seen him play it today, and these hook shots have been on point. We might see it once again as GPK. Kinetic field? Yeah, you know. Yeah, you can't charge out of that one, which is a bit unfortunate, so it's just waiting for the hook shot to cancel out the TP. Instantly, Boxy was there, was ready for the attempt. The high fives, well, he won't get any back as Mickey is godlike.
He is indeed, and he's even got the Basher as well, so even if Boxy wasn't there, they would have had the potential to be able to take out that key target again. These movements coming through from Liquid, this is TI caliber. This is what, you know, a lot of people in the past have criticized them for, crumbling under the weight of expectation, but they're really coming through for not only themselves, but their region as well. Secret already having qualified, and could we be seeing 2 Western European teams coming through the last chance qualifiers?
I mean, both Insania, Boxy, and Mickey, they missed out on TI-10. They do not want to miss out on another TI, and with how Game 1 is looking at the moment, and making sure that is not going to be the case. Insania, just chilling. All these 4 stars, man, the supports are so farmed.
Yeah, and look at this as well. Like, this seems like a bit of a, I don't want to call it an all-in play just yet. Normally, you buy the gem when you've got control over the map, maybe when you've got the Aegis as well, but Hakoda, he's gone back and said, look, I know I had enough gold for my 4 stuff. We need to be able to play around the map. I need to make sure that we get some vision back, because right now, we've got nothing.
Is the advantage that Liquid have? You're playing with Rocket Flare, you're playing with goddamn Plague Wards. Just nothing they can do.
Shoving up pretty easily with Swashbuckle as well.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful call. Like, lanes are a very important way to gain vision. You see DM's trying to do that. Bottom with the familiars, Boxy and Marty are going to surround them. So, and just the read, yeah, you're trying to get these lanes in a position where maybe you can set up for a pickoff, but Virtus Pro, the 5-man smoke, they'll get nothing out of it. So maybe they can at least, and they will. They're going to drop an Observe Ward by the Roche. It will be up in 45 seconds. Let's see if they can take a fight around this area, but Dire are going to see them shortly.
They might have even got the sense that DM had resummoned his familiars too, so even if he does have the buyback, which he does, he'll be the key target for them to look to try and go on if they can take away that hype.
Boxy's on the hind. Yamich gets the initiation though, but the Static Storm follow up as well. Matumban's going to turn to deal with the Tiny. They have stolen a decent amount of damage, but Mickey's in the Rolling Thunder. A bounce back as well. They're going to try and target down Ramses, completely taking the Razor out of the team fight. He's surviving for the moment. They're going to turn to deal with DM, but the Visage just is unable to stay alive. Liquid are too far ahead, and Ramses will not be able to find a way through the tree line. He'll go back in the lane, and Virtus Pro have had enough as Liquid. You mentioned that this is a team, whenever they find their victories, they do it incredibly fast, and they've done it here once again. A 30-minute Game 1 victory in our last series of the Last Chance qualifiers.
Very, very crisp, very clean. Matu, that's the face of someone that just lost a game, not just one. All face palm, but no, they're looking really good, and it's all on the back of that man. Mickey had a phenomenal game. Came out of the laning stage with a net worth lead against GPK, 11, 0, and 11. The man is just out of control, and you know what, for VP, I understand wanting to cut the losses, not potentially get tilted and have that lead into the second game, but this is the last series. This isn't a best of 5. This is a best of 3. So I feel like we've seen before, anything can happen once that high ground siege starts to happen. But, well, they just called it. They're going to reset and hope that it can come back in game number 2.
There's always the argument of trying to call it quits early on and just not mentally drain yourselves, because keep in mind, Virtus.pro, they did play earlier in the day as well in that 2-0 defeat. So
did Liquid though.
That is a yeah, definitely right. So did Liquid, but for Virtus.pro, this is a team that is very based around their emotions. We see, you know, the all chatting consistently, the tips. They're a very, very vocal team, and the confidence is a big thing, and the emotions are a big thing. So if they feel like, you know, they don't want to drain themselves here, if they don't want to stick around too long in this game 1, just reset, try and find how they can set themselves up for strategy in game 2. And well, we've got the panel that can also try and help out to see what Virtus.pro can do differently in game 2. Denok, you got any closing comments real quick?
I don't have a comment, I have a question that I want to pose to Fear, because he's been in these TI situations all the way up until the grand finals. I want to know from him, this is like a do or die sort of situation. Game 1, it finishes. What sort of conversations are going on now in this series, and especially with this being a best of 3 instead of a best of 5? How does that influence the talks that are going on behind the scenes? So I can't wait to hear what he has to say. I'm sure everyone's going to be waiting with bated breath, and we'll throw it over to Nat and the panel.
Thank you so much, Danog and Aries. That was only game number 1 here in our very last series of the Last Chance qualifiers between Virtus.pro and Liquid and Fear. I'll give you the floor if you want to answer Danog's question there about what conversations are happening.
Well, basically from my experience, for the most part, the constructive conversations usually happen after the series, not mid-series, if you're having a rough series, right? It's very difficult with have like a 10-minute time frame to like work out all the problems. A lot of people have like high emotions. They'll talk about insignificant things towards like the next game. There will often be talks about like some small things that happened in their lane or how it affected their game. They're very emotional about it, and sometimes it's very difficult to get past that. You have to have a good coach, and you have to have 5 players that are very level-headed and can see the objective of what we really need to focus on for the next game here. And unfortunately, for a lot of teams, they don't get to those conclusions until, you know, mid-series, not like in the middle of like game to game. So it could be definitely very difficult, and it's definitely going to be something a team like VP, we know have a lot of hot-headed players on that team, that I think they might struggle a little bit with finding that balance.
Yeah, hopefully they can find that balance, but we're here to break down game number 1 as well. Something that stood out was the Primal Beast pickup, and we didn't know how well it was going to go, but how did you feel GPK performed on it?
So he started off like really well. He did what I would call like the Thompson gank, where you get the 3-minute bounty rune in the enemy jungle, then you just make a quick detour and kill the enemy carry. He did that. I was like, all right, he's off to a great start here. But after that, he tried making rotations, but Liquid stiffed it out. He didn't really find anything. This Pangolier just stayed mid, completely free farmed. You've kind of seen this clips, difference in net worth here, and he fell off a little bit in the roaming here, and Mickey just got incredibly farmed.
Yeah, speaking of Mickey, Kazu, sorry, you go.
Yeah, like if you just like look at the network, this is already kind of not okay what's happening, and I want you guys to pay attention to this play right now. So Zai actually gets to pressure this Razor a lot, which, you know, isn't out of the ordinary, but it has a lot to do with what Mickey is doing in this game. First off, he's already killed Visage once. Now in the clip coming up, he's currently running top. He went there again to kill them one more time. Then a few minutes later, they're going here again. They just keep shutting down DM's game, so they don't really get to pressure Liquid at all in like their safe jungle or in the safe lane. Like Matu got to farm top, you know, quite nicely. I would also say that DM had some uncharacteristic deaths out of position where he's like pushing kind of for no reason. We may also see like in a clip coming up. Now Mickey has Diffusal Blade, and for real, like Mickey alone in this game and then pairing up with his supports, he just he basically just tore this game open. He stopped the Visage's pressure up top. GPK didn't have the best game and he kept rotating bottom, which then allowed Zai to kind of pressure bottom freely. And I feel like VP are really falling apart. And just to add on to the conversation of what they need to talk about, I feel like someone in this team right now really has to man up. Like maybe FNG if he has the freedom as their coach right now. But someone needs to, they need to get their shit together if they want to qualify to TI, simply put.
Yeah, this is going to be one of their potential last shots at making it to TI. It's all coming down to that game number 2 when we jump into it. So, T-Panda, what silver lining could VP take away from this? What are some good things that were happening despite the fact that it felt like Liquid were running all over the map?
To be frankly honest, not a lot. A lot of things went wrong for them this game. Starting all the way from the laning stage, as Spear and Kezubal stated that this wasn't an efficient Virtus Pro that we are used to seeing. It was far from the scary bear, and instead it was just the Steve that had full control over this game. But I think, like, they had optimism in the draft. Like, when we see, like, a last big Fraser, oh, he's gonna get himself a good laning stage. We see the Primal Beast going into Coral, we got some good things going for ourselves. But you still end up getting countered. And I feel like Liquid just kind of figured out what Virtus Pro even wants to do this game. Razor, or Ramses in this case, didn't even get to play the game. He was constantly under pressure, he was constantly getting killed. And Razor is supposed to be the guy who does that. So if they can somehow get that fighting spirit back in, really just come up with a completely different mental reset into game number 2, I can see Virtus Pro faring well. But this was by far absolute Liquid dominance.
We've seen the Disruptor, we've seen the Venom, we've seen the Clock all perform very well today for Liquid already. We've highlighted Mickey, but Fear highlighting Martin there on the lifesteal and just how well he played this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's more so like, he played great, don't get me wrong, but like, he has a very unique item build on the Lifesteal that I kind of want to highlight, because you don't see it very often. A lot of players that do play Lifesteal, they just completely overlook the shard on this hero, but he picks it up every single game. He normally picks it up within 20 minutes as well, which is 5 minutes after you're available to purchase it. So maybe a little bit underrated item. It does a lot for your team. It gives you a long-range slow, everyone can lifesteal off of it, even spells included, and something else they added that kind of is like overlooked. If you're doing 500 damage to a hero, it'll spread to the next hero, and if you attack the target that it spreads, it'll spread again, so it'll continue to spread throughout a team fight, and it does a lot of healing, and it's a lot of slow. And against the Razor, it was a really nice tool where they also have like the Gale, the Hook. Ramses really didn't have much of a game here.
Very underestimated there on that lifesteal, so great pickup for Liquid. And Kezu, now that we've seen it happen a number of times, have Liquid figured out the Primal Beast? Are they no longer scared of it, and do you reconsider potentially first picking it or even letting it through?
So I think if you're Liquid, I feel like, yeah, they figured it out in some way with the heroes they're picking. I also, to go back to the draft, I feel like Pango is a very nice response to this Primal Beast. You lane okay against him. By no means do I think he should win. I think GPK is uncomfortable on the hero. So when you combine those two things, I think VP need to skip it. I think Liquid should not care about it. Going into the next game, I would like VP to just play their stuff, put GPK on a farmer. Stop letting him, stop baiting him to play these heroes that need to run around minute 5 to 10 and make moves. Because as Fears mentioned, it's not working out. I don't think that your post-game talk right now is gonna fix that. Let this guy, show off his skill. Let him play a lane-dominating mid hero where he's just gonna get fat, and then build on that with the rest of your lineup.
Alright, well there's a few things that we've put out there as to what VP might be able to change up. Although it's not down to us what happens. We are going to jump to a break. When we come back, it's game 2, and we see how VP are going to fix their game.
shields and our swords, we pave the path to victory. With our shields and our swords, we temper our courage. With our shields and our swords, we're making history. With those who make the game a reality, we're the vanguard. We're with the best. Let's raise our shields.
Virtus Pro, their backs are against the wall. They're going to have to win this game number 2, force it to a game number 3 to keep the hopes of TI for themselves alive a little bit longer. On the other side, though, Liquid, they just need to stay strong. One more game, and they are booking themselves a ticket. They're going to be joining everyone else, all other 19 teams at TI in that group stage. Fia, you said there probably isn't too many constructive conversations happening, but how do you think the vibe is? Do you think Virtus Pro are that sort of team that are able to go back to what they know best and perform here in Game 2?
Well, I'm not going to say there aren't constructive criticisms or conversations, because I don't know what they're talking about. I do think it can be hard, though. So if they do want to turn this around, they definitely need to be talking about the right things. And I think the right things to be talking about is talking about what has worked for them. You know, the GPK, SF, Lina, Storm Spirit playing a little more greedy in that mid lane. And what has not been working is a bit of the roaming, right? So the conversation flow should be like, you know, just give me Lina next game. Easy fix. But if they start talking about all the little things they could have done better to fix it so the, you know, these style could work, that's a long conversation and they don't have time for that.
Get themselves on some comfort, because we haven't really talked about the side of Liquid. You're one game away from going to TI, so what sort of conversations would you be having coming into this draft, especially with Virtus Pro having first pick?
Oh, I mean, for Liquid, I think it's quite chill. You know, they're being chilling, they're owning, they're feeling good. I think they're kind of in the zone. They're probably telling themselves, yo, we all know that, you know, that VP kind of are not feeling it right now, that they don't feel good. So I think in terms of that, you keep up the same thing as you have been doing, and then towards the end, you still want to make sure that you stay focused and you think about, okay, if we were Virtus Pro, what would they do different now? Because the pick order is once again the same, and I don't see Virtus Pro going into this game doing the same thing as they did in Game 1. I would still advise them, if I was with them, I would tell them, yo, leave the Shadow Fiend. We first pick a hero and then we go Lina later. Whatever, they still take out the Shadow Fiend, I would still tell them, let's take the Lina later. But, you know, I'm not with them, I'm not their coach, it's not my obligation, but that's what I would want them to do.
It's always nice to know.
Yeah.
Team
What can you do?
Yeah, what WCYD. What Team Randall Liquid having to think about their ban here? Do you feel like you have any insight?
Thinking Undying, probably, if they want to take a repeat from last game. There we go. I don't think that was anything special there. But I like the idea that Virtus Pro decides to take the Clockwork away from Liquid, as they went for the Primal Beast first pick, and Liquid responded with the Clockwork. Do we go vice versa this time? I don't think we're going to be going that route. Looking at some of the first phase picks that Liquid has been favoring, I mean, you could look at the Sapphires, Tinies. They've also wait, let me just double check. I have the right tab open. Yes, I do. with the Snapfires and the Tinies. But they're going to continue with Insania's Disruptor, smart choice, and a hero that they've had a lot of success with lately. And in general, this tournament has had a lot of success lately with the Tusk pick.
A two-sport hero opening there, Kazu.
Yeah, nothing too crazy, I think, coming out for Liquid. They've honestly had a lot of success from 6-7, from like this pick order to just open up with their two supports, and then later on they just seem to find very good openings in the second phase later to then like complement what's going on here. And now for Virtus Pro, you had a similar opening last game from Liquid, and then they picked Visage. I feel like, yeah, the pick would be good, but you just had it and it felt bad, so I would kind of like them to swap, like, you know, sway away from it. These two heroes from Liquid, they're quite aggressive early on, so this could also make you not want to pick Lina, so they just go man-up mode, and they picked the Ramsey's win condition on the Morphling.
How do you feel about this Morphling? Fear, do you have some confidence in it?
This Morphling has a 33% win rate in the hands of Ramses this tournament, so do I feel good about it? Normally, I would say yes, but with a stat line like that, it's kind of hard. The Disruptor has been proven to be pretty good versus the Morphling. Not going to count it out yet, but this is just not a winning hero for this pro so far in this tournament.
It is a it is a winning hero against the heroes that VP played last game. Basically, what we saw there were the Clockworks, the Visage. Also, there was a Witch Doctor in that game, and that was Liquid winning over the Morphling. So I wonder if they're shifting things up and going for some kind of counter psychology gameplay here with it. Probably not, but. I mean, Morphling's been a strong hero in the tournament, yes, and like you said, 33%, 1 win and 2 losses on this Morphling doesn't necessarily talk a lot of confidence, but it's also a pretty small pool. But then again, this is a pretty short tournament, so I guess you could pull off a good Morphling game, but it's too early to say.
The band's coming out because obviously that AA to protect the Morph, but it's the Lone Druid. Do you think they are targeting Marta a little bit here? Is he the person you would want to target in a draft?
You probably have to target too many heroes, but just taking out the Lone, I think, is good comfort, just to take it away from Liquid. The only problem I see with the opening from VP against what Liquid have is that they probably feel like that they need to ban a lot of heroes in this stage right now. I feel like you have to ban this AA. Lone Druid is a little bit debatable. I think next phase there's a lot of scary heroes that Liquid can pick up. There's the Visage that they like with these heroes against the Morphling. There's also a Tidehunter that can be very good in the next phase. There's a Pangolier once again that can be good. And most importantly also Lycan later down the road. So I feel like right now, this ban stage is very hard for Virtus Pro. And I would also like to point out that I've seen, this might be the first time I see FNG have more of like a active role on the camera. From what I can see, he's taken over Ramsey's chair. So, you know, maybe in the pause he came up with some good things to say to maybe let them focus more on their gameplay and him to take over a bit more of the drafting role.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what changes happen then.
Sorry, could you repeat?
I just said it'd be interesting to see what changes happen. And I was going to ask Fia what he was thinking about these bans, more on the side of Liquid then.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, they banned the Primal Beast. There was kind of like a little dance. They first picked the Clockwork, being like, I dare you to pick Primal Beast. And they're like, yeah, nah. And then they picked the Morph, and it seems like Liquid is still afraid of the Primal Beast, regardless of having the Clockwork and the Morphling on their team. They ban it out. Straight into a GPK ban, the Invoker, and one of his top 4 heroes he's played this tournament. They have left the Lina, though, which is another one we're going to keep an eye on. But we'll see with this ban here if they do want to leave that one in there or if they plan on banning something else out. I'm not sure why they banned Invoker if not just to target GPK, because to me it doesn't seem like a hero that really threatens the 2 heroes I see that Liquid already has, but maybe Liquid have a hero in mind they want to pick in the next phase that Invoker is very good against.
Yeah, I guess it could also be like a team-specific thing that we don't like playing against this hero necessarily. Obviously, they've played a lot of Invoker matchups in the past, but they've, in the second phase, they've banned Invoker twice and they've won the game, both of those games, as a result of that. So, could be something that leads into it. Mostly they've been banning the Beastmaster and they add up the Tidehunter here as well. So, taking a bit of team play capability from VP there.
Lycan's coming, I think.
Yeah.
Or the
It's
Beast,
just
I
a
guess.
high chance. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of the Invoker ban, the only hero I was thinking about that it could like indicate that you might want is like the potential Darkseer. Otherwise, yeah, I think Fear is right that they're just kind of targeting BPK, and now they ban out the Tidehunter, which was going to be very good against, you know, one of the many Zoo heroes Liquid could go for. And they seem to favor the Beastmaster more compared to some other teams, and yeah, it just gives them what they want. It's going to set up later to then also make your carry pick feel better. And I mean, they've shown they're really, really good when Zai gets his hands on his Beastmaster.
One thing that I'm now kind of curious about here is with this Beastmaster pickup is a physical damage carry that will utilize the attack speed bonus, and now when you see the Morphling, I'm starting to think Slark here for Matumba Man, but do you want to... I don't think they might necessarily pick it here. They could still leave it for the last phase as well, but I'm kind of feeling Slark here.
Definitely good carry matchup, but as for drafting their carry, they want to see their lane matchup first if they can. Slark isn't a hero that can just play into any matchup, so he definitely needs to see something good before you can pick him. And I think if you don't have a lane, you're not going to counter anything, right? So they'll wait to see what VP is going to pick for their off laner, and then they'll choose the best hero possible that can deal with the morph and also have a decent laning stage.
Just thinking of the aspect of the BKB Linken's build that we've seen on Slarks, if you're like Virtus Pro, for example, if they don't have any BKB piercing abilities, then that could sit in nicely. But yeah, you're right. You kind of have to wait for VP to make a decision first. And they only got like half a minute left on reserve, so yeah, you can see that they're really thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, for them, when I see Beastmaster like this with a tempo draft, I want to address this beast right now, have a hero that can potentially go there later. I would have said that I would have liked them to potentially pick like a Storm mid or anything mid that can rotate to this lane, as now they go for Dazzle Chaos Knight, which is a big curveball. I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe they want to flex these heroes, CK Dazzle. I'm guessing maybe or morph into mid and they'll keep it open for later, but I'm taken a little bit by surprise for now.
Speaking of 33% win rate carries, CK is also on that list with the Morphling, both combined into the same draft, which means he can't play both of them, which means something is brewing here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure even the Dazzle is on 33% win rate here in the last chance qualifiers, so...
Yeah, it hasn't been picked by VP at all, so that's also like a unique hero here.
But that hero is, I remember Hakoda is a legendary Dazzle player. I think in the DPC, he was probably one of the first players to bust Dazzle out before like everyone got on board and be like, wow, Dazzle's so good last patch. So he's very capable on the Dazzle, and I think he's like either Master Tier or Platinum on Dazzle, which is very rare. You don't see that very much. Not many Dazzle spammers out there, as the hero has been dead for a long time. But he is a very capable Dazzle player, so I do trust him with this hero quite a lot.
We actually haven't been able to see it ourselves, but how do you feel Dazzle is with this patch and also the lineup?
Well,
I think, I think with the CK, it's pretty good, right? Because like you have the heal bomb with illusions, pretty decent here. They can use the poison, maybe track down the boars, or just go straight onto the Beastmaster. I do think they're going to put this Morphling probably in the mid lane, now that I think more about it, because GPK, he's more of like a carry type of mid player. Not saying he can't play the other heroes, but that's where VP in particular seemed to shine the most. And now the CK, it's very good versus the Beastmaster in the lane, so that is the adaptation they are going to make. And it looks like they're going to try and punish this Morph pick by putting Queen of Pain. I'm not sure if that will be the most punishing thing for Morphling. I think Morph is pretty strong with the attribute shift. You might not care so much about the dagger spam, but not a matchup I'm super familiar with.
Yeah, so they decided to, instead of answering the Beastmaster with like someone else being able to rotate to the lane, to just pick a completely new safe lane, which yeah, that can work. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan when you do the switch up and it now means that your carry Morphling is going to the mid lane. Because I feel like these four heroes, I mean, it is somewhat of a Virtus Pro style. Win lane, outskill your opponent, and then, you know, try to go and fight your enemies. Because when I look right now, Virtus Pro's teamfight is not very good. And this is what you need to get out of your offlaner, but you're also doing this blindly into the enemy team. Which is, you know, it's not always the easiest task to really ask here.
When the Queen of Pain and CK were the same draft at the same time, Liquid played co-op. Mickey went 14-2 and 14 against VP's Ramses CK 2, 10 and 7. That was again a rough game for Ramses. Maybe he's figured something out this time. They bring up the Timbersaw.
I have a high suspicion that there's going to be an aggro trialing from VP and Timber versus the Beastmaster here. If not, they're just going to try and pressure. I think with your Liquid here, you're probably going to lose the outscale here. But if you win the laning stage, I think you're going to run over the game. So I would be a big fan of Liquid just picking a hero to just win lanes here.
How about Ursa? Or
I was thinking something more
Troll might be
spicy.
hard.
Not a lot of people play it, but like the carry Bat Rider.
PogChamp?
Really,
Carry
just
Bat Rider. I
really,
like the way you're thinking.
just really like crush the lanes here. You got the momentum. They're gonna go for the Luna though. Too spicy for them. I understand. It's
Luna's
an
good.
elimination match.
Yeah.
I mean, Luna, maybe there's a little bit of PTSD coming out for Virtus Pro. They did drop to the lower bracket here after picking it up twice against Secret earlier today. But Liquid looking to get this pickup via how are you liking it all rounded out now?
This is a very hard. Like both drafts have like strengths and weaknesses. I unfortunately just don't know enough about this mid matchup. If GPK can pop up from this Morphling, it is a Morph after all, and this Timbersaw, normally Luna can do well, but I see Timber's just free farm versus Luna as well. It's gonna come down to it's like individual skill this game. It's not very clear cut to me on like who's going to win this game. It's gonna be like who just plays better.
Yeah. Kezu, is that the same for you, individual skill, or a little bit more about how the teams are going to be rotating?
Well, individual skill for sure, because that's what Virtus Pro's drafts kind of thrives on and what they need. But when I look at their tricore, it makes me feel like bad inside. It kind of turns my stomach around. You have Morphling, Timber, CK. I don't see like how you ever rotate anyone to anyone. You just rely on GPK shitting on mid, DM doing his thing top, and then I just feel like we're gonna see the same thing. They do well early, then DM dies alone, someone else dies somewhere else, Ramsey queues up a Midas, and they lose.
And quickly, T-Bender, who are you looking towards?
Well, it's either individual star power or a team that's going to qualify. So we'll see.
We will see as we're jumping into this game. Number 2, remember, Liquid need this win if they want to go to TI. Same with VP. So let's jump on over. It's Dan on Canaries.
The question is, can the individual brilliance here from Virtus Pro enable them to go the distance and force us into a game 3, or can Liquid end it right here and right now? Deno, this is another lineup that Liquid can thrive on. A team that really like to play around the quick tempo, end the game early kind of strategies, and it looks like with the draft they have exactly that. But do we feel like Virtus Pro have some answers?
I think they've got some answers. I'm just worried that it might not be enough answers. And, well, we'll be able to see if GPK will be proven right. Will this series be over in 2 hours? And Liquid all the way through to the TI proper. They've been one series away, Liquid, from automatic TI qualification several times this year. They lost 2-1 to BetBoom at the Stockholm Major. If they won, they would have qualified. They lost to Boom 2-1 at the Arlington Major. They would have qualified. And they got so close in the regional qualifiers as well. So close, yet so far. Blitz has said that his anxiety during some of those series was a 40 out of 10. So let's see if they're able to do it this time around. Maybe 4th time's the charm.
See, 4th time is the charm indeed, and also for Virtus Pro, they've been so goddamn close. Some rounding errors and some difficult performances in some of the series that we saw. Also, some previous events as well for Virtus Pro, in particular, the Major, where they were knocked out by Beast Coast in that 7th and 8th place. There was a team that was really starting to build up a lot of momentum over at Arlington. We saw at TI-10 as well, some of the members, GPK along with DM, were knocked out by their fellow brethren in Team Spirit in 5th and 6th place. So they want to get a little bit of revenge and make it back there, but of course that's a lot of games away. Potentially game 3 if they can get there, but they have their comfort. I mean, this is in particular, if someone can do it, man, if someone can do it, DM on the Timbersaw. Like, he is arguably one of the best Timbersaws. Amar as well. I mean, Amar and DM, I'd say, really the ones you always look at. So we'll see what's going to come out. The panel also mentioned about the potential aggro tri-lane. It looks like that's going to be the case here.
Yeah, and they're just making sure to constantly wait until the very last second to be able to move. But with this Observe Award scouting out DM's movement, is that going to cause some rotations? Yeah, you see instantly Zai on the minimap turns tail and runs all the way back towards the top side. They want to avoid this lane at all costs.
Yeah, when Boxy was keeping, he just caught a slight glimpse of DM running down bottom. So, yeah, Liquid have plenty of time to be able to react to this now.
Yeah, he ended up cancelling that TP. He wants to make sure that he's staying in this more preferable lane. Just while we are still waiting for the lanes to kind of form themselves, hopefully there's not 2 kills in the meantime. I just want to give a shout out to Team Liquid and their YouTube page, because they actually put out this little bit of a, they call it the time lapse, where they look back on past series that they've played. And the one that I paid most attention to was one at TI7, where Matu talked about their series against LFY, where they were able to take a tier 1 tower at 2 minutes, and the map was basically bare by 15 minutes for LFY, because they saw this morphling and they went a hyper-aggressive draft. They did it against Vici Gaming early on. They ended the game in 22 minutes. That's exactly what they've gone for this time around.
And the morphling has been someone who is incredibly contested overall through the meta at the moment, having a 61% win rate, but we've seen Liquid 2 games in a row now they've been able to beat it. Let's see if they can do it again with a different strategies. Top lane, some brawling going on at the moment. Yarmich and Yakoda posturing aggressively onto Boxy. This time it's going to be Yarmich on the clockwork as well. We mentioned prior in game 1 that he's incredibly comfortable on the hero. We saw Boxy make play after play. Well, Yarmich is going to look to replicate that.
Just having a quick look over at the couriers as well, coming down on this bottom side for Team Liquid. It's all about the regen, consistently being able to spam out this Timbersaw. Insania wants to make sure that Thunderstrike is maxed out. He's got the Ring of
Ryan might be in
Resilience.
some trouble. Ramses has the level 2 already. Oh, the shards off the mark from Boxy. Tried to get some distance for Zai to play with. It's going to attempt to find the deny into the neutrals, but it will not be the case, as the Virtus Pro tri-lane off to a good start with finding first blood.
They are indeed, and that's what you have to do whenever you've got these tri-lanes, right? You're soaking up so much experience on the supports that if you don't get the kills in exchange, and you're going to be in a really rough spot once those lanes start to dissolve and you get to the mid-game. So level 3 on bottom side is really what I'm looking for. They actually TP Insania up top, not wanting this lane to go too poorly for, again, the relatively quick lineup that they've got on Team Liquid. And they're going to find Yamich, 3v1, but he's essentially completely out of mana, so Yamich is just trying to keep them away for as long as possible, expending a lot of spells out of Team Liquid just to get a single kill.
See as well how this mid lane shaping up at the moment. Queen of Pain off to a pretty good start. Well, very good start, I should say. 20 and 7 compared to the 10 and 2. I think once the levels start to come through from GPK, the attribute shift might be able to help out. I think one of the big issues at the moment, though, is just the constant damage from the dagger forces GPK to not have as much right-click damage at the early levels to be able to CS. But once he hits that 3rd point in the attribute shift, the lane should be more bearable.
Look at this little bit of a conga line coming through from the top-hand side as well. Boxy, Yamich, both realizing how important it is to be able to keep control over these power runes. Looks like BK is going to be the one to be able to claim the water rune on the bottom side, though, and it just means that GPK's got a rough time. You already have such a rough go at it, trying to trade effectively against a Queen of Pain. How are you supposed to do it now when he's got a water rune bottled and you've got nothing?
He's already got a Midas queued up as well from GPK.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, the panel was mentioning that they want to see GPK on something that can be the win condition in a way. The Morphling is definitely that, but Midas is really going to slow down Virtus Pro. I mean, where do the plays really come out for them? Feels like a lot of emphasis is going to be put on DM, just trying to soak up as much space as possible, being that kind of vacuum to drag all the Liquid members down, but it's going to be difficult. He needs to get off to a good start.
I mean, how often do you see a Timbersaw go into a Vanguard as well? That's what DM's got. He realizes that he's going to be coming up against this Zuya, against a Tusk. He is going to be that one standing on the front lines, playing a lot less greedy style this time around, and basically putting himself where Liquid want to be pushing. You saw Liquid's bans. They got rid of the Tide Hunter, another DM specialty, just to make sure that they couldn't allow this to happen.
Trying to face check. Yakoda doesn't have a level in the grave at the moment. The heal bomb's not going to be enough to keep him alive. It's Liquid find their 2nd kill of the game here in this tri-lane. As soon as they started to rotate, as soon as they left Insania and brought him up top, it looks like top is going much better for them.
0 points in the Whirling Death on DM. He's just looking to try and spam out onto Matu with those timber chains as much as possible. Try and keep him out of the lane, but Matu, he's still having a decent enough time. Trading in farm, you're going to be very happy with that if you're Liquid.
See, nice snowball dodge, and he's going to use it aggressively to go into Yamish. They're trying to turn to beat down Ramses, but the tag team will expire. And Zaya doesn't have the access to continue to stack up. So in the end, will be a 1-for-1. No supports are going to make the rotation here for the power rune, so it's going to come down. I'm more than likely Mickey will get it with his extra mobility. And I think this is a big advantage that Liquid are going to be playing with, the Morphling compared to the Queen of Pain. We saw GPK in Game 1 try and get very active on the Primal Beast. Mickey did an exact same thing here with the Pain Clear, but this game, like GPK is just going to play the lane, whereas Mickey, he can look to get involved, and that's already going to be the case. This is a big rotation down. If you can slow DM early on, he's going to struggle.
Oh, he's getting a little bit greedy. He's going for the dive here. Might end up costing him his life. He doesn't have the mana. Even if he pops the wand, he's not going to be able to TP out. So what a key kill just to secure this lane for Matu.
They're going to get something out of the map here in Virtus Pro. They're going to make the attempt top lane. Diving under the tier 1 tower. Can they close the distance on Desire? And that'll be the case. The Chaos Spot chucked out from Ramses will allow Yamich to get into the middle. But remember, Tumberman's going to look to TP. He's got the level 6 now. They need to deal with the creep, so the Clip's going to be able to help out. Instead, the right clicks are what they're playing off the back of. Insania, Glimpse is available, level 2, they're going to be able to drag back the Clockwork. A beam from afar is not enough, that's where Insania's right clicks can come into play. Ramses will be able to trade the life of the Disruptor in the end, so a double kill picked up for the Chaos Knight.
He's just got the 1 point in the list.
Might be in trouble.
Oh, that's not good.
Not at all. DM with the level 6, Matumberman, they know he TP top. He's going to be off the map now for 25 seconds, plus the time he has to walk to the lane as well. A great movement coming out from DM.
Yeah, VP just mirroring a lot of these movements, right? Matu comes top, so am I. I'm very happy to look to trade against that, and like you mentioned before, had to use the TP for it, so Matu will be taking that walk of shame. Potentially going back into the jungle. Liquid, I believe they're starting to consider making a few of these stacks happen, playing on the Dire side.
See if GPK is going to get lucky with the power rune. Ooh. Oxy will snag that. They don't have the ultimate to be able to try and blow him up. They will continue to hunt though.
10
They know
seconds
the
to a
waveform's used. Yamich is playing on the right. There's not particularly much the Clockwork can do, and GPK is just standing still. Trying to hope for the deny onto the neutrals, but it will not come out as Mickey times his right click to perfection. As Liquid shutting down the Morphling early, they're going to look to continue to go bottom as Ramses now. Here's the next one that's in trouble. A perfectly placed shard from Boxy will lock off the Chaos Knight. They've got the Hawk in the tree line, so they know that no one is playing behind Ramses to potentially turn it around with the rotations, as now Liquid can look to take the first tier 1 tower of themselves.
Indeed, indeed. DM, it feels like he's playing the exact same job on the top side. He's finished up the Vanguard, he's placing himself right in front of that tier 2 tower, but have a look at Insania. He's trying to see if he can bait out any sort of movements there. If DM tries to get the retreat, 3 points in Glimpse, could be enough to be able to catch him out. Might even be satisfied enough to soak up a lot of this experience on the top side so they're ready with the Static Storm. I mean, how much does that tell you about the mindset of GPK? Just standing there, allowing the death to come to him, not even turning around and trying to get a little bit of damage done in the meantime.
Shows that he's mode farm.
The faster he dies, the faster he can get back to farming, I suppose.
Faster you get that Midas, baby, let's go.
It's here. The moment we've all been waiting for, but he would not be happy with his net worth as things currently sit. I mean, we've been talking about how he is the true win condition, but win conditions aren't fifth on net worth a lot of the time.
Not at all, but I do think regardless, Virtus Pro, some of their cores have gotten out of the laning phase, and at least GPK has this farming accelerant now.
There's the other aspect as well. You know, we all talk about the Midas being this super passive item. You're able to go back into the jungle, but you're going up against a Beastmaster who's just about finished that Helm of the Dominator. So maybe GPK is going to be a little bit more active than a lot of us are expecting with making those rotations, getting rid of that big Helm Dom creep.
That's a very good point, because I think this Helm Dom now being completed from Zai's is going to enable them now to think about taking the tier 1 tower. Liquid need to continue the pace. They need to continue finding these objectives because of the tri-core lineup that Virtus Pro have. You can't allow them just to freely farm on opposite sides of the map. And
GPK showing it, but it doesn't seem like that's the one they want. They want Ramses. They want someone away from a lot of these TP points.
Oh, the scan was just too late. Let's see if Ramsey's going to be able to tank through the damage, but the static storm laid down from Insania. There will be no Phantasm turnaround. As Yakoda, even though he had a point in the shallow grave, which is too far out to the left side, but Virtus Pro, they're trying to connect, they're trying to backstab as DM's even going to get into the middle, but they will be too late. Yamich won't, however. A hookshot's going to be there to cancel Boxy's TP. He'll make him work for it in the end. And to buy as much space for Liquid to continue farming across the map. Might even deny himself to the tower, so the gold will be split. That'll be the case.
He's pretty happy with that, though. I mean, he started to drag DM towards that, and if DM's focusing running at his own tier 3 tower, he's not doing the Timbersaw job, right? He's not standing in front of lanes. At this DM, he's just making the immediate move back towards top. He's like, alright, they use Static Storm. I've got about 30 or so seconds where I'm not afraid of any TPs coming towards this lane. Back up in 40, it's not the longest cooldown, but you gotta make every single moment count, especially when you've got that siege creep still available, and they used the glyph previously on Team Liquid for that push, so I want to see DM perhaps get some assistance come through from the rest of his team, but Mickey with the solo kill.
Sonic Wave was used for that, and now a couple tips as well for good measure. Trying to get into the heads of GPK. They're going to run into Yakoda as well. He denies the rune for Mickey. Oh, he'll get the kill, so he's the one that's happier in Liquid as well. We'll find another tower. Tier 1 mid going down, which is a lot of map control that can protect the jungle of Virtus Pro. Look at the Hawks, look at the vision, Boxy, they're already turning to Ramses, another shot! Ramses hoping he gets pushed on the outer side, but that's not going to be the case. The turnaround's there with the damage from the Phantasm. They'll kill off the toss now. DM's going to look to get in the middle as well as Virtus Pro is showing up to the left side. Oh no! GPK, instant use of the Roar from Zai, stopping the potential for the attribute ship. And now DM, he might have a free fight with some of the abilities used prior, but a glimpse will send him packing. He's still got the chance to continue the hunt. But now through the mid lane, there's not going to be many trees for him to play around. He's going to be relying on the ultimate to try and bring down Zaya, but that will not be enough damage as Liquid. They will stay alive and back off as a unit.
Oh, I don't know if they're ready to back off. They're like, well, DM's feeling a little squishy, might be able to catch out this pick off onto Hakoda. Especially considering they've got all of that vision available, and we know how strong the Disruptor pairing is together with any sort of vision, and Beastmaster Hawk, one of the best heroes to be able to pair with that.
Look at how Boxy's playing as well, man. Like this is, you just compare the carries, the cores. Liquid are freely farming across the map, whereas Virtus Pro, you've got supports running at you. Mid lane Insane, you're trying to catch GPK off guard very close with the Static Storm.
3 in a row would have just been way too much, and he's picking out the fact that, you know, there might be vision around. Otherwise, that's just some insane individual skill coming through from GPK, and, well, it's the latter. He is still a very, very solid player, but right now he needs some of his boys, he needs the team to rally around him, because this is not the start that you're wanting.
I like what they're doing from Virtus Pro there. They're putting DM mid, kind of acting as that blockade to make it very difficult for Liquid to run through this lane and try and get to the cores that are farming behind him, because his hero is incredibly difficult to kill, and especially when you have supports playing with him as well in the clock and the dazzle.
Yeah, they're trying to read Liquid's mind right now. They're putting GPK out there as bait. Good blocks coming through.
Oh, nice.
Very nice by Zai.
Smoke from Virtus Pro being off the mark, and I guess the cores are farming across the map at Liquid. They want to take the tame fight. Mickey, he's already level 12. He's got 2 points in the ultimate along with the double damage rune in the arsenal. Let's see if they can catch up to DM though. A Q play from Yamich will enable his escape, and DM as well will also survive. And again, look at this. Ramsey's getting farm. Meanwhile, GPK shoving out top. So the cores are continuing to make it towards their next set of items.
It's all about trying to read Liquid's mind right now. Unfortunately, Hakoda with that smoke ends up blocking the stack inside of the Ancients area for Ramses, but he needed to do it. He needs to try and get this super deep vision out. The Observer Ward got full duration, so he realizes it's a safe place to be able to place that one down. Even inside the Ancients, once they hit some of their timings, perhaps this isn't exactly an area of the map VP have been free to just walk out onto, so just any little bit of information is going to provide them so much. Places where he thinks Liquid are going to be smoking and going for ganks, that's exactly where he wants to get that VP vision down.
Looks like this tier 2 tower down bottom though is going to go uncontested. No glyph available from Virtus Pro, already used prior, so A 16-minute tier 2 tower. It's going to give Liquid complete control of this bottom jungle.
You remember that that video I mentioned, the Liquid video where they reviewed it?
Mm-hmm. All the towers early on.
Yeah, all the towers early on. This is a carbon copy almost of exactly what happened. And let's, I'm going to give him a little bit of a quote. He said, "Oh, you think they wish they didn't pick Morphling this early into the draft? Well, it might be happening once more."
It does still need to be mentioned though that VP, like, this net worth lead is not growing. In fact, it's actually slowly being cut. Very, very slowly. And this is a lineup for Virtus Pro with a triangle. If they can make it to the late game, like this is 15, even a little bit longer than that. This is where they will really feel their power. But you need to continue doing exactly what you are. Splitting up the map, shoving the side lanes, having supports, block the rotations. I mean, look at Yamish. Sees Mickey moving top, the Disruptor as well. I don't even know if they saw Yamish. Cute plays with the pogo over. They will finally be able to scout him out. They'll go for a TP. That's a very ambitious TP. But again, he's done his job. The cause of farming.
The cause of farming, that's exactly right what you're saying. It's all about splitting up the map right now, but VP, they know it's coming soon, and they know that Liquid are going to want to get aggressive. They're about 1,000 gold away from being able to pick up Matu's BKB, still a while away from the Blink Dagger on Boxy. Kyron Sanj almost finished up on Mickey, and I believe the Vlad's at least is completed towards that Helm of the Overlord, where the Midas on the Morphling won't be quite as big of an issue to deal with the Beastmaster dominated creeps. So already picking up the Crimson Guard now on DM. Again, physical damage isn't normally the issue for a Timbersaw, but it's about the rest of the team. They need a 5-on-5 fight.
Got a very good ward nearby here from Virtus Pro. A lot of information for them to play with. Dire as well. Great snowball dodge from Boxy. They're going to look to try and target down Rams at the moment with a Sonic Wave. Mickey clipping onto 4. Do they have the damage fall-off to be able to bring down some other members of Virtus Pro as Ramses will fall? GPK is going to look to get involved as well, but is unable to right-click anyone as GPK just crumbles under the damage, and our team as well will not be able to escape. It's chained further in the lane as Yamish needs to put his body on the line to protect his core. A worthwhile sacrifice, so at least DM escaped, but Liquid lose no one.
They lose no one. Lane's in a pretty decent position if they wanted to go top. They might consider going to Roshan, but again, this is a lineup that requires you to push out waves very effectively. You can see they're in two minds about it. Do we push, do we not? Maybe just the 1 point in tag team with how active Boxy's been with that Ice Shards, leading them to think that this is not necessarily the play, but I think it's the safe play, and I think it's the right one. Well, actually, they're going to back. They still don't know. This is the high-pressure situation that we keep talking about.
See the replay, a big ultimate. The Sonic Wave, Insania as well, once again somehow finding an angle. We will have to go back live because Virtus Pro is trying to contest this, but Liquid, they're not going to give them an opportunity. They'll just run to Yamich's position, and our DM's completely isolated. VP is starting to move to the area. Ramses and Yokota finally connecting. But Liquid are just playing with so much vision across the map. The Hawks continuing to be an issue. They know exactly where Radiant are at every stage of this game.
And you've just essentially fed away your Phantasm illusions as well.
Look at the Shard's positioning as well. It's going to try and push Dakota away. The Grave is available, but it's only going to delay the inevitable as Liquid will bring down Ramses, spilling blood into the river.
It's just slowly trickling in, right? You have the clockwork rocket flare to be able to scout out the progress of the Roshan, and they just went in one by one. This was all underneath a Beastmaster Hawk coming through, and well, eventually the high ground got de-watered by Hakoda, but it was just way too late. You were fighting down. They even had to expend their ultimates previously, not just in that fight, in the fight beforehand, so they're already back up on Liquid. They're ready to go.
The map is just going to continue to shrink. With his ages, feels like only a 5,000 net worth lead is plenty with the second life for them to find all these outer towers.
And now Mickey's even just going to take away some of their own farm where they might be feeling safe, but obviously VP with the Roshan going down, with the lane on the top side positioned so aggressively, Matu feels almost immortal here, being able to just continuously shove this in. Open up, allow a Luna just to stay on the Radiant side of the map and keep the pressure up while still farming
They see Matu at low. This is a really big play for VP. Multiple heroes on Liquid showdown bottom, But Tomaman doesn't have anyone else nearby. A BKB used on the first life. Zai's going to be able to cover the retreat with the roar. Tomaman continuing to get some distance away. No way, they don't even kill him. DM's gonna try and get the chakra, but the glimpse back, they won't get him. Matu lives. They'll at least get Zai at the triangle, but mid-game now when the boys have shown up. A Sonic Wave clipping onto 2. Gonna be cautious about the Static Storm, and Virtus Pro will split away. The ultimate's gonna be off the mark. This is an opening now for VT to look to hit back. They'll bring down Boxy. Matu stuck around as well. DM with the damage required will deal with the Aegis. They'll drag him back into the river as Matumbaman will not escape. Finally, Virtus Pro will take a successful skirmish, and they can also get the tier 1 tower.
It was a great instant move from Liquid. I think they even popped the smoke just for the extra movement speed to be able to get back, but when you are able to finally isolate someone on Virtus Pro, this is what Liquid's draft specializes in, right? You could just use the Glimpse, you could use the Beastmaster Hawk to be able to do it, but as soon as you show on the other side of the map, you know there's no TPs available, you know there's no way to be able to protect that POS1 Luna, who is such a big part of your pushing force. So great movement coming through there from VP, bringing them back into this game.
Kind of just pushing 101 there. Force Heroes to react, move instantly to the other side of the map if the team do not respect how fast you are playing, and catches Liquid off guard, and now this net worth lead in the age is completely evaporated. VP, signs of life for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this isn't really the area that Mickey wants to be farming, right? You've taken the bottom side of the map. It's important to take the outpost back for sure, but like I was saying before, Luna wants to be playing on the VP side of the map. You want to keep the pressure up, you want to be using that Beastmaster Hawk, not only just to get the pickoffs, but even if someone TPs back after they're trying to split up the map and defend, you could just glimpse them back. It's happened before. Matu was the one that got glimpsed previously in the middle of a big team fight.
So this is now a really big item here for GPK, and he should have the Scepter delivered before this fight breaks out. I'm intrigued to see if he always uses it on the Luna, because an Agi carry really needs your stats and the attack speed as well. There's also the potential for some other members as well, but I feel like his main priority is going to be Matu if he can get that replicate. This is a big item here to enable Morphling in these fights.
It's just enabling him just to increase the attack speed, denying it away from the Luna, but even you just have to think of the synergy together with the Phantasm as well and the Chaos Knight. If you get that Luna Blessing, if you're in the Luna form, then you're going to be able to give a lot of benefit towards this VP roster.
I mean, they are well and truly back in this game. Even though it's this 3,000 net worth lead, losing that first Roche is really important for Liquid. They needed to find all these outer towers with the lead they had, and now VP, they've got multiple ways to be able to start these fights. You are not completely reliant on Yamich to get an incredible hook shot. It can be up to Ramses, but he won't be here if this fight breaks out.
They spotted that Hawk coming out that's sitting in front of the tier 2 tower bottom, so they're positioning themselves really well.
Great positioning from VP. They're playing behind TM, but the damage might be too much. Dakota can't get close enough. And now Mickey's going to jump in, no hesitation, to try and catch out the remaining members. As VP, they need to TP out, and they will be able to make it.
Cut their losses, made sure not to feed through anyone else that was unnecessary, and that's just another one of those instances. The shallow grave, just the 2 points in it so far. It really does feel like Liquid, they're wanting to go for the solid. Okay.
Goes for a solo kill, the TP, he's going to have to cancel that.
And that's the gem.
No, I think he might have tried to steal the gem over from Insania.
Oh boy. That's a big kill. He didn't use the TP at least, so he'll be able to rejoin the team fight if a buyback is forced, but you do not want to be giving that one up. You're all about scaling into the later stages of the game and just instantly blowing up one unit. You've got the tools to be able to do it. Hook shot into a Cog's back should enable a Chaos Knight, a Timbersaw, a Morphling to immediately explode whoever it is that you go on.
Props have to be given to Mickey's performance in this series. We saw what his Painfully was able to do game 1, and now we see what he's doing on the Queen of Pain in a very, very free Queen of Pain as well, I must add. Not a lot that he has to be worried about. 8-0-9, top of the net worth, level 18 as well. And I mean, his impact for the team fights, we've already seen some incredible Sonic ways. He's going to be hunting the Dazzle in particular. You know, could potentially even, if they want to try and blow up some, you know, core hero like DM, you could jump behind the Timber, use the Sonic wave to push him further away from the Dazzle's position. So Hakoda has to be on point this game with where he is.
You could indeed, and even the perfect itemization coming through from him as well, right? Of course, just the Witchblade, Karen Sanj, it's nothing game-breaking, but immediately into the Shivas after that, realizing that you're going up against a Dazzle for heals, a Timber Sword that relies on that regen, a Morphling that's going to have that reduction, and of course, just the attack speed as well against the Chaos Knights. So he's going to enable himself to be a lot tankier in some of these engagements that are about to come. Liquid to buy it. Doesn't have his courier quite at the secret shop yet, and I'm sure that's what Liquid are waiting for right now. An agonizing 10 or so second wait, but they're going to walk underneath it, yep.
Not the longest range glimpse. Mickey's going to jump up as well, ready to have a really good ward nearby. Looks like Liquid want nothing to do with this. With the initiation being slightly off the mark, they will not continue on.
Might look to do it again though. The lanes are all in relatively decent spots. Ramses has done a good job with keeping that bottom one shoved out. Double creep wave coming into this tier 1 tower, but I'm not sure if it holds an insane amount of value for Liquid just to keep this one up. But Mickey, it's too much net worth just to leave on the map. He'll pick it up, get closer to that level 20.
See if they can try and stall this out. If it's a long row spawn, GPK might have the BKB before that fight. It's about to have the second component completed. It'll be a really big item. Also that level 18, which they actually just give him the tome on GPK, so they recognize how important it is to max out the ulti. Liquid, yeah, they've been able to catch out here Coda, but a great 4-star fuse from Yamich. We'll be able to get the Dazzle out to the left side, but Liquid, they're still on the prowl. They've got the nighttime vision and the Hawks as well. Look at Yamich just putting his body on the line. The Cogs in such an awkward position. He'll try and TP, but the cancel will be there thanks to the damage.
But again, the lanes, they're looking fairly good for VP. Top side, all the way pushed in. Mid lane, pushed in at the same time. And GPK, DM, taking back the outpost, trying to get some of these neutral items. And pushing out bottom lane is the next on their priority list as well. So yeah, VP doing a fantastic job at, again, dodging it out. It's still a 10k net worth lead, don't get me wrong. But the avenues are there for the comeback.
Another rune for Mickey. Got that level 20.
Oh, it's a quick Roche respawn though. Just another 10 seconds away, and GPK, he's still about 1,000 away from being able to pick up that BKB. That could be enormous. Sometimes Ice Frog, Mr. Lizard, as I like to call him, does smile on teams in certain crucial situations, and this time around it's going to be Liquid. Being able to secure that second Roche, get the Aghanim Shard through. I'm not sure who they want to give it on. Maybe the dive bomb for the Beastmaster. You've already picked it up on the spot.
Going too fast. Oh no. The Flesh scouted it, they smoked as well instantly, but it's just going down too quick. Second Roche uncontested, and Ages onto Matu. The Aghanim Shard currently held by Boxy. I do not believe...
Give it to Matu very easily too, can't you? Give it to Zai, wants the dive bomb. Don't hate it.
Extra vision. That is really the important thing, and a big advantage that Liquid have been playing with.
Especially with the Disruptor, right?
Yep.
You've got a Lincoln Sphere, sorry, a Lotus Orb already up on DM, but Lincoln's is the big thing that's going to be able to block this next timing that you've got on Liquid's side. Being able to take that tower gives them a little bit more gold, and you've almost got the Blink Dagger on Zai, which means that you'll be able to find that pick-off with all that extra vision that you just got from the Aghanim Shard, reduced Hawk cooldown.
If this tower goes down, I don't know if VP can defend it. A Luna with the open barracks is very scary. Have to keep in mind though, if Liquid, if they do not capitalize on the Aegis advantage, Virtus Pro will have a big window back into this game.
This could be it. This could be Liquid's TI attending fight. You've got the BKB though on GPK. Let's see how he looks to use it. If he could find Insania, that would be huge.
BK. He's going to try and follow up as well with a jump in.
Fast fingers.
Not going to be there thanks to Ramsey's use of the BKB. Matu even trying to chuck his own as well. They're going to commit in the middle, but Yamich cogs the blocker, but the damage follow-up isn't there. They need to wait for the BKB, but the members are falling lower and lower. As a Sonic Wave clipping onto multiple heroes. Ramses kept alive for the moment thanks to the use of the Grave, but it will not be enough for him to sustain through the damage. As Virtus Pro, they need to buy back onto multiple members, but they will not be able to catch up as Liquid retreat out of the area, and all they lose is Zai.
All they lose is Zai indeed. 2 buybacks expended, still a kill onto Ramses, and they hold onto that Aegis, so you're going to be able to get into your own Lincoln Sphere soon, and just to prevent that quick initiation coming through from Ramses there. Matu incredibly fast on the fingers. It's hard to imagine that this is a guy that said after this TI, I'm about to retire. He's a top 5 player still on the leaderboards, and I mean, the fingers are just as good as when he was back in his prime.
For him to be able to potentially end his career with a TI performance back on the organization that he won the TI with as well. What an incredible storyline that would be for himself and Liquid with a 15,000 net worth lead. They've still got plenty of time with the Aegis to work with.
They want to be the party poopers though on VP. They're not giving this one up. They've been a little bit known for the early GG. Not this time around. You lose this one, you're out. Going to be giving it all they got, but BKB's now back up. Still plenty of time left on that Aegis. Lincoln Sphere available for Matu means that he could pop the BKB that little bit later.
Mantis will see the attempts. The Hawk Scouts out that instant use of the Phantasm. They won't get an angle in. They're just going to retreat on Liquid. They see the replicate solo, but Ramses jump in the middle and instantly the turnaround. A Gravel binds his time, but Mickey again. A gigantic Sonic Wave is in the middle of the team fight, but a BKB protects him for the moment, and Liquid now have firm control of Virtus Pro's base. They'll drag back Ramses, no buyback here for the Chaos side, and Box is in once again with a double snowball, clipping out DM. They've almost booked their ticket. One more team fight. No buybacks here from Virtus Pro.
Is there going to be another one? There might not be another team fight. This is it. You get a Luna into the base, and you just watch those glaives bounce around back and forth, side to side. Have they done it?
GG!
They have.
Oh,
they've done it. 2 Western European teams make it through to TI.
Well played, congratulations, and Liquid have done it, and look how much it means to Boxy. Matu will give him a hug as well, but multiple of these members from Liquid, Insania, Boxy, along with Mickey, both missed out on TI-10, and keep in mind, this has been a team that have gone through it this season. Incredible performances in the tours, but when it comes down to the land performances, there's been a lot of questions around the inconsistency, and that was a big question for them heading into this qualifier as well. A lot of people were expecting other teams to make it through, but Liquid, look how strong they look against Virtus Pro. The revenge is there, 2-0ing them in convincing fashion.
Yeah, Insania, I mean, he's gone on record after that missed opportunity to attend the previous TI. He was gutted to miss it. He mentioned that he spent so many months just not talking to anyone, only queuing pubs, wanting to get better so that wouldn't happen again. And instead of reliving that history, they relived the history of an aggressive draft against a Morphling. All of this single target doesn't do anything once the swarm is in on top of you. And a big congrats have to be given over to Team Liquid. One other quote, I know I've been a bit of a quote bot today, but Insania also went out on record saying whoever comes out of the last chance qualifiers, he feels like they could be a top 6 contender for sure. Could it be Secret? Could it be Liquid? In the past wildcards or last chance qualifiers, whatever you want to call them, TI5, CDEC getting all the way up to 2nd, MVP Phoenix finishing 7th, and then TI6 eHome finishing top 6 as well. So could be a possibility. So many games that they've had the opportunity to play. I can't wait to see it. Group stage is just a couple of days away. Any passing thoughts? It's been a fantastic last chance qualifiers, Aries. What do you got to say?
It's just, yeah, it's been a pleasure. Condolences, of course, to the teams that weren't able to make it. Of course, their dreams, unfortunately, you're falling before their eyes. But there were years still where they can live up those dreams. And all for Virtus Pro, and we also saw earlier today as well, Vici Gaming eliminated and the other teams as well, the 8 other teams that we saw in the playoffs. Unfortunate for them, but at the end of the day, Liquid and Secret will make 20 teams for TI 11. For the last time, we'll send it back to the panel to break this one down.
Liquid have done it, and in a 2-0 as well. This second game feeling just as convincing, Fear, as that game number 1.
Yeah, it definitely was quite convincing there from just right at the beginning. I wasn't sure how this Morphling Queen of Pain matchup would work out, and Mickey just gotta give it to him. He dumpstered GPK mid really hard. I didn't expect that matchup to be that. Ends up queuing the Midas, you know, no boots. They got the Timbersaw sitting in the safe lane. They got a CK in the off lane. There's nobody to make plays in this game, so I did say I wanted to see GPK play more like a carry type of route, but I didn't really expect their whole team to try and play carry in this last game here. Didn't really feel much team cohesion there. Whole team was just kind of farming. Liquid were on top of it, getting kill after kill on the map, and VP just couldn't buy enough time to make their lineup really work.
That's something that you also highlighted, Kezu, the fact that you're worried about Virtus Pro having a Timber Morph and Chaos Knight as their cores.
I mean, yeah, like before the game, you can see it quite clearly, and then especially like you assume or see how they feel as well. And then I also have to talk about the game. So first of all, Liquid, they played amazing. I feel like Mickey today was the standout player for me. Maybe it wasn't the hardest for him to do it, but you know, he was doing well in his lanes and setting the tempo for his team the whole time in at least both of these games here against VP. But then I want to talk about it from VP's point of view just for a moment. It sucks for them, they lost, but I feel like they kind of have themselves to blame. And if I'm a teammate of GPK and I click on my Morphling at minute 6 or 7, and I see that he has Bottle into Midas queued up, and then when he dies in a kind of silly way, he spams the like haha voice line, I feel like I'm out of place. I feel like I'm not playing the loser bracket finals of like this qualifier. I feel like I'm playing a pub. And that kind of showed with how they played this game. And when you kind of, in my opinion, behave and play like this against a really good team such as Liquid, then there won't be any other outcome than what happened in the series.
Yeah, you're gonna, I guess, be punished or unfortunately not get the chance to go to TI, and that's what has played out here. Some other highlights from UT Panda as we see these replays happening on how Liquid played today.
Well, as a whole, I think one of the big things is that Liquid forced Virtus Pro to play, to force them to buy Midas in 2 consecutive games. And both kind of looked like desperation mode buys as well. I mean, that already says something about the damage that is being dealt during the game and after the game and between the games. So I think Liquid was just playing like it felt like a routine Dota day for them. Like this is the Liquid that can definitely match up to TI teams. Played a TI team performance in this finals as well. So that bodes very good for them, and I think a lot of teams really have to be scared about not only just 1, but 2 Western European teams joining into TI, and there's quite a lot of them there now, with Liquid being another addition.
Liquid looking so good today, Fear. Do you think that there is a weakness that some other teams can look at, or what is a big standout strength?
Right now they've just shown that between their cores, like, I think it's not even just their cores, but I just do want to highlight Mickey and Matumba and how well they work together. Like, they might not play the hardest of the hardest carries, and I think that's what makes them great, but they have the versatility to swap lanes, to play tempo, and I think they just complement each other so well as like a 1-2 duo, and I think that's really important for any team that is successful. Your 1-2 duo just has to be good because they're the ones sucking all the farm and the resources on the map, so if they're not in sync or not using that network well, then you're probably not going to get very far.
Liquid just being on the same page today is one of the key reasons why they were able to secure the second slot in this last chance qualifiers, rounding out the 20 teams that are qualified to TI. Because in your eyes, how far do you feel Liquid are going to be able to go in the form we've seen them over the past 5 days?
I'm gonna say very far. I think a lot of these teams in this qualifier were very good, and the teams moving forward, which are Team Liquid and Secret, I feel like they've shown. I'm sure they practiced very hard, as you know, every team here did, to make it this way, and now eventually end up qualifying for TI. They're gonna be warmed up. They're gonna feel good. They're gonna have the most games on this patch, at least tournament-wise, and hopefully they can just carry this momentum, because we all know that these two teams, they have some amazing players, and if they feel good about the meta and their strategies, then I don't see that much, being able to stop them.
This is going to be the last time that we do see Virtus Pro for this competitive season, as the chances for TI are no longer there. So T-Panda, how impressed were you on their performance over the last chance qualifiers, only falling from the lower bracket earlier today, falling from the upper bracket earlier today?
Well, at least in the group stage, they weren't able to overcome Liquid. They got a couple of victories. They scored a lot of ties in their group as well. So I think you could say that they started off in a good footing, winning their upper bracket games. Like, okay, Virtus Pro is looking like a really hot team. But I think that it just kind of crumbled under the pressure. I think that was one of the big indicators why they weren't able to overcome Secret. They got 2-0'd, and now Liquid as well, they got 2-0'd. But the talent that this team still has, because you've got very talented individuals. I'm not sure if Virtus Pro, at least with this current roster, is going to have to think thoroughly through what kind of future they want to go with. Are they going to keep all the players in? What kind of practice are they going to look at? And maybe is there too many building blocks to work on? Or do they see positive signs in how they perform during the course of this tournament, which hopefully would also be an indicator to see that Virtus Pro could keep on dominating like they did at the start of this tournament. So it's a bit of a surprise to a lot of people that they fell short on their performances on this last day. But at the same time, it is also a matchup of two really hot teams going up against each other. The other one who has a better form will take the victory.
Yeah, well, that's enough about Virtus Pro. As unfortunate it is, they do fall out. No chance at TI. Liquid taking that second slot, and we are treated with an interview. I do know that we are going to be joined with Matu. Matu, what is the relief? Explain to me right now what is actually going through your mind, considering the last 5 days of games.
I mean, I'm exhausted. Preparing for these games is super stressful, and you can see that the other teams are playing for their lives as well. And you can even, you can sense it in the game that they really, really care about the game. And I mean, I'm just happy to make it, to be honest. My last year of Pro Dota, so last tournament, so absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. Congratulations for you. What is the atmosphere for you guys at Liquid? I know that you have Blitz there, you also have Jurex, Jab, so it's not just the 5 of you playing, it's everyone. How is that atmosphere?
I mean, I could definitely, after game 1, sense that something switched in some of our support staff's minds, that they were going insane already. I don't know, it was very wild. It was animalistic. It was something very primal, primal. We're game up. Let's go, guys. We're gonna do it. We're the best. We're the.
I mean, you guys you came out on top there.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Hey, Matu. Congrats on, qualifying to TI. I'm sure you and the boys, you deserve it from what you have shown. I have one question for you. So I think from the regionals to now, you guys improved a lot. Not just your gameplay, I think your strategies, they seem more refined. Can you walk me through, the process and what you guys may have improved on and changed from the regionals to today?
From the regional qualifiers or the LANs or what do you mean?
Just from your qualifier basically until today. So the last couple of weeks, what did you guys talk about, change? How much input also, where's Jesse coming in and Blitz and Jabs? Because we need to highlight them too. I just kind of want to know what is everyone's roles and how did you prepare for this?
Jax does the in-game stuff. He talks about how we play our heroes. Blitz does the drafting with me. helps me out with that. And yeah, I mean, we just tried to come up with better strategies than we did in the regionals, because like Entity just came with like better ideas than all the other teams, and we just got stomped like with my boy Secret as well. So yeah, you know, it's like what can we do as Puppy and me? You know, we just they were too young.
Got it. Thank you.
Alright, so my question to you is going to be, you've played quite a few TIs now. What do you think about the meta of this TI compared to previous TIs that you've played at?
I think it's gonna be pretty similar to TI-10. I don't really see how the game would change that much, because the map stayed the same. Because usually between TIs the map changes a little bit, but now it stayed almost exact the same, except the small camp next to mid. So I feel like it's gonna be pretty similar meta. And, I mean, who knows really? Only at TI you see the true Dota and who's the best team and like what their idea of Dota is, and that's kind of like the winning team defines what was like right in this Dota 2 game. You know, it's not the second place or the third place or the rest of the like how like 18 other teams. You know, like who cares about them? Only the winners define it. So we'll see.
So you think it'll change a lot going into this group stage and playoffs compared to the last chance qualifier?
I think Heroes will change a little bit. I think there's the qualified teams to TI. They're playing different heroes than we did in the last chance qualifier, and I think people will be quite surprised what heroes will pop up in TI to be meta.
All right, Moro Lasse. You have been. I kind of want to bounce back into a historical question here. So you've been playing around for. You could say you've been playing around for a decade. You've been playing local Finnish LAN tournaments in 2014. You've made multiple TI appearances ever since. If you could travel back in time and tell something to the Matumba man from 8 years back, what would you tell him?
I don't know. Enjoy every moment you have in Pro Dota, because it's fleeting and it's someday it will be gone.
That's a very good way to put it. And also, I want to follow up on that as well. Since TI3, there has always been a Finnish representative in TI. We've had Trixie, we've had Jerax, Thompson, and you included. Is there something you might want to say? Well, I mean, generally to the fans, but maybe to the Finnish people watching your success in TI on this last year.
I guess like I'll try my best, and hopefully you will cheer for me. I don't have anything else to say, because like in 2 weeks I'll be gone. So see ya.
Oh, well, Matu, you know, you've always been a pleasure here in the pro scene. I'm so happy for you guys over at Liquid. We'll let you go celebrate with them all, and I know that you guys will put on a performance as we do jump into TI in a couple of days. But congratulations again.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I got a little bit emotional there, especially when Matu was so blunt about the fact that, you know, in a couple of weeks, we're not gonna be seeing his face around the pro Dota scene anymore. And Fear, as someone who's won TI in the past and kind of gone into that retirement and now coming into talent, like, how hard is it to be transitioning out of it and knowing that you're kind of gonna be having this career and this part of you for so long come to an end?
I couldn't do it, honestly. I kept playing, you know, until like there was like nothing left for a while, and to like be able to just make that hard stop, kind of like Universe did, and just like quit, like it's difficult, and I don't think it's something I could ever do, right? So it's, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know what he said he had planned, if he's gonna go into talent work or coaching or something like that, but either way, it's always a pleasure to watch him play, and it's a little sad that we won't see him like playing professionally anymore, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he does still have that one last chance at lifting the Aegis, and someone else who does is Puppy. Secret qualified earlier today, and we do have them joining us for an interview, so I'm very excited. Puppy, congratulations again. You guys had a great performance at the start of today. You had that upper bracket run. What was the celebrations and the emotions feeling like when you guys did take that last slot?
I mean, the emotions obviously felt good. I mean, it's a win, you know. We had a really tough first game, and like we did a throne we did a throning, you know, so it kind of like felt like it was meant to be type of thing. So it worked out, you know, and that's how it went. You know, emotions are really high, adrenaline is super high. So I mean, the adrenaline never really stopped after we thrown them. To be fair.
Yeah, I do actually want to ask a question about that. What were the communications like? Was that your call to just go straight for the tier 4s and to hold your ground despite the buybacks?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they didn't have Undying buyback, which was already enough for us to play like a bunch of assholes. Plus, the DD gives a lot of help. Like, you know, once you see a DD and once you're behind in a game and you have the actual chance to, you have Aegis, you have DD, no Undying buyback, and you get to pose the fight, you know, yourself. I don't know, it just seemed too good to be true, so I just went for it.
Yeah, a recipe that you were able to read there. Another question I do have is Resolution, newest member to you guys, and after a bit of a lackluster and a very difficult and tumultuous year for you, how was it having him come on, and what sort of strength has he added to the roster?
I think it's really hard to pinpoint exactly the things that have happened, but what I've noticed for sure is that the chemistry between him and our team, especially Zayas, is just way better. And I think you do need chemistry in a team. I think if things happen naturally in the team, things are way better once you try to like constantly force things like, oh, you need to listen to me here, listen to me there. You're like, if it happens naturally, it's way better. If you try to force it, I don't think you guys are meant together. You know, that type of thing. It's a relationship. It's a Dota game. And obviously, I think Rezo was he was more set on how he wants to play, and it kind of made more sense, like for the meta at least. For the meta, the way he wanted to play is exactly how everybody else is playing, and it kind of like clicked a little bit faster. So there's a lot of benefits, and it just worked out.
It did.
Alright. Hey Puppy, congrats, you know, on making it to your TI again. You haven't missed out on one yet. I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
First off, it's going to be Dota related. I feel like you guys had probably very good preparation and the better drafts against Virtus Pro.
Yeah.
First of all, would you agree?
For sure, we weren't really afraid of their disruptors or their undyings, to be fair. They really wanted those heroes, they really loved them, but I don't think... Like, they're pretty obvious for us what they want to do with them, and it's not really a surprise. And I think, like, it's... I mean, overall, yeah, I think we were more prepared. I think first game could have been a little bit better draft. I think it was a bit, like, rough to kind of actually finish the game or feel good in the game, but, you know, whatever.
Okay, and then second question, this might be a little more personal. So I feel like, so in this season, it didn't actually go as well for you particular, or for your team, up until maybe the Riyadh Masters and the last couple weeks. So I wanted to know, did you feel in particular like different in this season compared to others? Like, did you have, I don't know, different feelings or different emotions? Or was it just like, you know, I'm gonna chill, even though there's some roster changes here or there, we'll make it, and, you know, everything was the same?
No, I hated this season. As in, I was kind of like losing my mind practically in first season already. Because I think, as you can see, as you saw, as everybody did, we didn't do good, right? But I felt like people had like some kind of, you know, they weren't stressed enough that there's, you know, there's a lot of time. But I don't think there is time. There is no time in this past DPCs. You literally have only 2 chances. I think if you... Even if you qualify and win the 3rd major, you're not even going to TI. You actually get the hell out of here. You know, you win that TI as entity on the 3rd season. Let's say they would have done that. You wouldn't even go to TI after winning that. So it's a bugged system. You know, it's not that good. I think it's too stressful. 6 weeks stuck somewhere, plus 2 weeks of like pre-boot camp or something like that. It's a bit like. It's a bit of a yikes, you know. Esports is fast. We're not like morons that have to like constantly, you know, like work out for something. We don't need downtime. I don't understand what this bullshit is about. Like about esports and needing some kind of like downtime. We do need downtime, but we can do things fast. We can play 15 games a day. All right. I understand it's like rough or something like that, but that's our capacity of what we can do is much higher because we don't get tired of it that easily. If people can do it, we should abuse the situation and not just like make ourselves, feel like, I don't know, we're doing sports. Actual sports is hard, not, not as much as this, physically.
I agree. I love your answer. And again, congrats. Hug Mr. Cyborg Math from me. And thanks for the answer.
Of course I will.
Alright, my question's gonna be, so you've been to every TI now, I just wanted some insight, like, what makes this TI so far special to you?
Well, to be fair, it's pretty obvious in my books is that I went to a different path in order to get qualified for this international. I think I've been through every type of path in order to get qualified. I've been invited, I've gone through open qualifiers, I've gone through just regular qualifiers without open qualifiers, and now this was the new path, the newest of paths in order to get to TI. So it's
The last path, would you
last
say?
chance. It's it's the last path that I haven't taken in order to get to TI, so I instantly did it when it's not, when it's available. Oh, a new way to get to TI. Here we go. I mean, I think that's the one that really kind of like puts me to like him. Of course, I'm getting here like 11 times in a row, but I think the path is more important than actually getting here.
All right, Poppy, congrats on your qualifying to TI once again. I only had one question for you. You guys had a very positive appearance on the camera shots that we've been seeing, so I have to ask, outside of now qualifying to TI 11, has something specific happened there with the team in the last few days where you've had such a joyful mood with the team, or is it just a more team atmosphere related thing?
I mean, I would say the mood obviously goes positive if we know what we're doing. And I think a lot has changed in the past, like, I would consider 2 weeks. And it wasn't really, like, functional right away. Like, in the first week, we had, like, a very short boot camp because we had to play the qualifiers, then had to go home, then had to go straight to the boot camp. So we didn't really have that much time, but still, I would say after getting beaten by Entity, we really had to get our shit together because they just whooped our asses in a way where we kind of like, we had to know that their ideas are way better. And the thing is, like, these ideas are very hard to decipher. And it took a little bit of time, and then once I started realizing what's actually happening with, like, the big heads in my team, we started pursuing the idea process, and slowly, like, the gears start changing in the right way. And I think just we're positive because we're winning. Even if the game is rough, we know at least what we're doing is right. So that's the positivity. It just comes from the fact that we're doing the right thing. We know we're like working out the right direction.
Yeah, and it definitely worked out for you guys to take that last slot. I do have one last question though, and you talk about all the paths that you've been able to take. Now you've done the last chance qualifier path. Do you think this is going to give you guys at Secret an advantage when it comes to groups and further into TI?
I would not ever make a prediction that is better or worse, because that's just jinxing yourself. I'm not going to put myself into that position. But if I would look back in the storylines of Cinderella stories, to be fair, the two teams, Secret, OG Spirit, that have won TI, kind of went through a regional qualifier. I know OG didn't go the second time, but they still did it through regional qualifiers, and they still had to play a lot of games. And I think this was the equivalent of the most regional qualifiers you can get. So yeah, more games is obviously beneficial, and that's just kind of like the truth. But I'm not gonna get any benefits from it. Come on, I'm not gonna jinx myself. I'm probably gonna lose, right? Yeah, it's all good.
Hey, you can put whatever you want out there. At the end of the day, you are going to TI. Congratulations again, 11 in a row, and thank you so much for joining us, Poppy.
Thank you. Goodbye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
There you have it, a little bit of two ends of the spectrum there. Martu's not going to be here after this last TI, his last competition in the pro scene. And then Poppy, someone who's attended all 11. And Kezu, I guess it's one of those things. It might sound like a dumb question as to whether you predicted this, but are you surprised or impressed at the fact that we have 6 Western European teams at TI?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm that. I mean, I am surprised now that 2 teams went through the qualifier like this. That we have 6 overall at TI, not so much, but I did not expect both Liquid and Secret to go through this qualifier. But I mean, the best teams with the best strategies, they're gonna move on. And simply put, that's what happened.
And what about yourself, T-Pen? Did you expect it all to play out the way it has?
Prediction-wise, it's kind of hard to say. At least when we had at the start of the group stages our predictions on who are looking like top 3 teams, Extreme Gaming wasn't there. They fell short. They were dropped by one of the teams that did qualify into the event. So upsets happen. But in general, I think the rightful teams that made it this far into this double elimination bracket, I mean, they were rightfully there. There's basically no other explanation to it, but they understood how to play the current meta. They made their own meta. They got some good matchups for themselves, and maybe a couple upsets more could have potentially happened, but I think we got everything we wanted out of this LCQ in the end.
Definitely. And Fearsome, your final thoughts, knowing now that it's Secret and Liquid to make up those 20 teams?
I mean, yeah, Western Europe, they're doing great. I think maybe they should get another slot for the DPC, take away from NA, and we'll be good.
That's going to be your closing thought as the last thing you say for Last Chance Qualifiers.
Yeah, I think so. No, it wasn't. I think for overall, it was a great experience. We got to watch all the best teams. Well, yeah, best teams for the region for the most part. They all did really well in the region. They get top of the top. It was very exciting Dota, and I love watching like international competition. For me, having every single team from every region just compete against each other, just to see like the different ideas, and it's just kind of proven Western Europe right now just has the better idea of the game, and I didn't expect it to be both the teams from Western Europe coming out on top, to be totally honest with you, but that's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, we started off 5 days ago with 12 teams. We've ended up with just Secret and Liquid taking up those 2 slots, making it all the way to TI. That's it for Last Chance Qualifiers. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The group stage, TI 11, kicks off on October 15th, and we'll see you guys then.